Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Ma'am, have a seat.
Why would you give him your credit card?
I didn't give him my credit card. I purchased things for him on my credit card because we were in a relationship for a long time, and he said that he was going to pay me back.
Did you live together?
No.
So you dated?
Mm-hmm.
Over what period of time?
About 8 months.
And tell me about the first time that you started putting things on your credit card.
I guess we went to the mall, and he wanted to get, I think it was Sony PlayStation was the first thing that I got him.
What's a Sony PlayStation?
It's a video game system, and I got that for him because he said he really wanted it, and he said, you know, he couldn't come up with all the money at one time, so if I put on my credit card, he could come up with the monthly payments.
Mr. Lunzinski, does that sound familiar to you?
No, Your Honor.
You remember this video game?
I never asked for anything. They were gifts.
Tell me about being at the mall, sir.
I went to the mall. She surprised me, talking about she wasn't going to tell me anything what we were going to do at the mall. But, you know, she had all that inside of her, what she wanted to, you know, buy me. So we went out. She bought me a Sony PlayStation. She took it in her responsibility to where she wanted to go out, you know. I mean, they're gifts. I didn't ask her to buy them. She knew that I wanted them.
I just asked you about one thing, sir. And you go and give me a whole song and dance. You ever hear the expression, "Me think the gentleman protests too much"? Did you ever hear that? Charles Schultz didn't say that. What next, madam?
The car, my car. I was out of town on a business trip with my father, and my car was parked at his house. And I did mention that I did want to sell my car, but I needed to get at least $900 for it because I still owed that money on it. So I guess someone was driving by his house and said that they wanted to buy it, and so Lance sold the car to this guy that I didn't even know for, he said $1,000. So I said, okay, that's fine, you know, I'll do everything when I get back. So
what happened?
Nothing happened with that. I kept calling him, and the guy that bought the car changed.
How could he buy a car without you signing over your certificate? How could somebody buy a car without you signing over the certificate of title?
I don't know.
Where's the certificate of title for your car?
It wasn't in my name because I was going to get the title when I finished paying it off. So I have.
Whose name was it in?
In the person I bought it from, Dolores.
So the car wasn't in your name?
Right, because I needed to finish paying it off.
How did you sell a car that belonged to Dolores?
Well, if I can say one thing.
No. Answer my question.
How did I sell a car?
How do you sell a car to somebody that
No, that's a good
belonged
question. That's something
to
that,
Dolores?
Your Honor, I haven't figured out for the last 4 months. You know, the guy wanted to buy the car. He came to look at the car. I got a hold of her. She wanted to sell the car. And the guy was supposed to give me $600, which I couldn't get $600 for the car. So the car had so many problems, you know, even though, I mean, I did something.
How do you sell a car without a certificate of title? You mean he just gave you money and he took the car? How's he going to register a car without a certificate of title?
I don't know, less paperwork is in the car, Your Honor.
It has to be signed, sir.
Yeah, I know, Your Honor.
Madam, go to the police.
I'm in the process of doing that.
Go to the police. Don't tell me about this car. I think you two people are both whacked up. I really do. Something suggests to me that you're both a little off. You go to the police, and you have the police get the car back. Did you get any money for it?
Didn't you get any money for the car?
What word didn't you understand, sir?
Yeah, I got money, and I got money from the guy that bought the car, and I handed her $400. That's the only amount that he gave me that was affordable for him, even though he had to pay $600, which he was supposed to pay $200 more. And next thing you know, the car's in his name. And I'm not God. I don't know how he did that.
Did he give you
I don't have a
money?
crystal ball.
Just a minute. Did he give you any money?
He gave me $400. And then I gave it back to him.
What?
Then I let him borrow it.
Borrow it?
When did you let him borrow it?
I'm not sure. It was for car payments and groceries and stuff that he wanted because he said he was going to pay me back. You know, I admit that I was an idiot, and I know this.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You would throw temper tantrums in the mall, and I was scared of you, so I bought those things for you.
Oh, different story.
And later today,
It's not her fault that your father violated his parole and served 6 months. She doesn't have to support you, sir. She's got enough trouble of her own.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 20-year-old Emily Siebertson says her ex-boyfriend, 26-year-old Lance Lunzinski, owes her money he borrowed before they broke up. Lance says the money was a gift.
So far, the only thing that you told me you bought for him, madam, that he said he would repay was this Nintendo game or whatever else it is.
Yeah.
What
and
else did you buy?
Games, a shaver, clothes, shoes, and money for the car payment, groceries, and...
For him?
Yeah. He said he didn't have any money, so I was helping him out because we were in a relationship. I trusted him. I cared about him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Your Honor, we were in a relationship. We loved each other. We cared about each other. I didn't love her where she didn't think inside I loved her the way that I should have loved her. She loved me more. She gave way too much in a relationship. She gave way too fast. You know, I haven't got stuff like that since I was a little kid from my mom bringing me stuff like that.
That's
you know, now I'm
because
here.
if I didn't get you things, you would throw a temper tantrum and you would either
That's
beat me up
incorrect.
or you left me stranded at the mall if I didn't buy you those boots.
No,
you
I
know,
don't think so.
You would throw temper tantrums in the mall, and I was scared of you, so I bought those things for you.
Oh, different story. Listen to me, madam. It's coming clear to me. He used you.
I know.
He used you. But this is a court. In a court, there has to be a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're really suing for is a breach of contract, that you had an oral contract with him, that you would allow him to make certain purchases on your credit card and he would pay the bills.
Right.
And he never made a payment on your credit card.
Yes, he did.
He did?
Yes, he...
Oh,
total...
he did. Show me where he made a payment on your credit card.
I made quite a few, to be honest with you.
You did?
And it's something that I didn't have to do. It's just...
Oh,
you know?
now it's coming nice. This is easier because then I could do the right thing, even though I thought that I
it wasn't
wasn't
money
able
that
to.
I owed. You know, it was $75 to go get a concert ticket, the Pink Floyd concert. They wanted to be down.
Oh, good. Oh, right. And you did make certain payments, sir.
It wasn't even payments. It's something that I gave. That's what my heart wanted to do. You know? I mean, it's only money. It's only a piece of paper.
How much does he still owe on the credit cards?
He paid $300. What was the? It was
$3,900.
$39.92.61 minus $300, I guess.
Now that includes $1,500, over $1,500 in ATM cash advances to him.
Right.
What was that for?
For when he needed tires for his car, and I did give him my ATM card.
Just a sec. I have a hook to hang my robe on because he did make certain payments, which acknowledges the fact that they were loans.
Right.
Okay. So because he used you, there's no question about that. However, I wouldn't say anything to me if I were you, sir. You have to prove to me that there was an understanding, clear contract when he said to you, I'm taking out this money and I will pay you back. Did that happen?
Yes.
That's
$1,573. I can't wash your mouth out with soap, sir, but I certainly can take care of it financially. You owe her $3,692.61. That's the most expensive curse word you're ever going to say. That's all! Out!
Step out. The back door to your right.
I fell for his scam. He's been doing it a lot longer than I have, and you know, I cared for him. I cared for the family, you know, and I had a good time with you guys.
It wasn't a scam.
Versus Woodbridge. Step forward.
21-year-old student Matthew Mazur says his father's former live-in girlfriend, Pamela Woodbridge, illegally evicted him after his father went to jail.
How old are you, Mr. Mazur?
21.
When did you turn 21?
April 30th.
Now, in May of this past year, you were living with the defendant, correct? And you were living there with your father.
Yes.
And your father and the defendant were engaged to be married or living together. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing with yourself in May, sir?
I was beginning to go to college at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing with yourself in May, sir?
I was beginning to go to college at that time.
What do you mean beginning to go to college? Who begins to go to college in May?
No, I was going to go through summer courses.
That starts in June or July.
Well, registration's in May, though.
That's not a major effort, sir. That's not doing much going to register for school. It's not necessarily a full-time job. What were you doing with yourself in May?
Nothing at that time.
What were you doing in April?
Well, nothing at that time either, ma'am.
Well, let's try March. What were you doing with yourself in March?
Nothing, preparing to go to school. I was...
You mean getting into the thinking mode? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Mr. Mazer? All right. All this has a purpose, sir. You're suing the defendant because in May, according to both of you, your father got arrested, taken off to jail, leaving you living with a perfect stranger. Right?
No, we lived together for 8 months prior to that.
8 months, a lifetime.
We were pretty close. Well, they went out for 2 years before that.
But you were living with them for 8 months.
Yeah.
And your father was, I assume, contributing to the household. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's a two-bedroom
Yes.
apartment.
Yes.
So after your father was arrested, you were still living there. You are suing her for $4,000. You say she illegally evicted you from the apartment, and she kept your furniture that you bought.
That's correct. It was bought for me by my father.
It was bought in for you.
Yes.
Before you go to college, you better brush up on your English. It was bought for you by your father. Now, what did you expect her to do, Mr. Mazer, when the person who was contributing to half the rent, I assume, half the utilities, is hauled off to jail, leaving her with a total biological stranger to support? Because you're on your way preparing yourself for college. What'd you expect her to do?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I got steroid psychosis because they tried to put me in remission. So I went crazy, and David kind of came into my life, and I didn't know he was a con artist.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Matthew Mazer claims his father's former live-in girlfriend, Pamela Woodbridge, illegally evicted him.
Who are you?
I'm his father.
Terrific. Step up here. Mr. Mazer, how did you expect this lady to take care of business? When you
I was taken into custody by the parole department based on some facts that the sheriff's department gave them, which
So
to
you were
date
on
they
parole?
never even filed on.
So you were taken into custody on parole violation?
Right,
Did you spend any time in jail, sir?
Yes.
So you were taken into custody on parole violation?
right.
Did you spend any time in jail, sir?
Yes, I did.
How much time?
6 months.
What arrangements did you make with the defendant to support the household while you were in jail?
None. It was paid for through the first of the following month, and I didn't anticipate staying in jail very long.
Okay. So she told you that you had to find another place to live because she needed a roommate who could afford to pay at least half the rent.
That's correct.
Sounds right to me.
He was on the lease.
Who put your name on the lease?
She did.
Did you put his name on the lease?
He's listed on the lease as a minor.
Let me ask you this question. How long were you living in this apartment?
I moved in on November 10th of 1996.
And when did he move in?
He moved in, I couldn't
At
put
the
him
same
on the
time.
lease. Right.
Shh. At the same time.
But I couldn't put him on the lease because David has been to prison 2 or 3 times for credit card fraud, and so his credit is ruined.
Now, this young man moved in with you later.
No, at the
No,
same
he
time.
did move in at the same time as
So
well.
you all moved into this apartment together.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Mazer, I assume you moved into this apartment and your arrangement was, because you told me that you did, that you were going to pay the expenses on the apartment. You paid the rent, you paid the utilities, correct? Right? That was your arrangement with this lady. Where had you lived before?
I had a house in Dana Point, and in 1995, I got multiple sclerosis, and my husband of 11 years divorced me. And anyway, to make a long story short, I got steroid psychosis because they tried to put me in remission. So I went crazy, and David kind of came into my life, and I didn't know he was a con artist. He has scammed me out of $180,000. And I have my credit report right here to show.
question that I'm asking you, and that's all very interesting, is when you moved into this apartment, I assume your arrangement was, because you did it for some 6 months, that you would pay the bill, get hauled off to jail for 6 months, leaving her with the apartment. Nobody would get hauled off to jail for 6 months, leaving her with the apartment. Nobody to pay the rent. And your son.
That's where you're wrong. I had $5,000 in cash with me at the time I was arrested.
So what did you do with it?
Which was to pay her attorney to fight for the custody of her children. That money was taken, and I have this document, was taken in by the Department of Corrections and mailed to me the following day to the jail. For what purpose, I don't know. But I did have...
Did you get $5,000 from him?
No, his parole officer told me that David did have, I think she said $4,000, and she asked him, did he want her to give it to me, and he said no.
Just a minute. Do you have any proof to show me, Mr. Mazur, that you provide... Just a minute. Do you have any proof to show me, Mr. Mazur, that you provided the defendant with $5,000 in order to cover the expenses of this apartment while you were away?
Yes.
Don't show me a lot of papers there. Show me where you turned over the money to the defendant to cover the expenses of the apartment.
The apartment part was, here it is right here, $2,993.
Let me see it.
And the Sheriff's Department kept it. They said they could not give it to her because they
Just a minute.
arrested
So
me.
the answer is she didn't get it.
Yes.
So what are you showing me this baloney for? She didn't get it. So what you're telling me is I should take your good intentions into consideration.
No, she rented it, but what? The rent was paid to the end of the following month.
All right. She doesn't have to keep your son there not working. Now, furniture. You had furniture?
Well, David had gone out and bought a futon for Matthew on my credit card. Well, it may have been a joint credit card.
Right.
David was doing credit card roulette, basically.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He went out and bought a futon.
Right.
Is that the only piece of furniture that was bought specifically for Mr. Mazur Jr.?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there are other items. What other items, sir, do you say were bought by your father for you?
Not really any other furniture, just a couple tables and...
Tables? What
yeah,
tables?
just like end tables.
End tables? What end tables? Talk to me.
His mother took things.
What end tables?
They're just glass end tables, brass.
That your father bought for
Brass
his
and glass.
20-year-old son?
No, those were mine when I brought them there.
Okay, so where are they?
His mother took them. She came and picked up his things.
Except the futon.
Exactly.
Which you paid for.
Which I sold.
Which you sold.
Right.
And which was on your credit card.
Yes, ma'am.
Or on a joint credit card.
Right.
Which he wasn't paying from jail.
Right.
Good.
Excuse me, the insurance was paying for it. When she came down with MS, the insurance picked up all the bills. She virtually had no bills with the exception of the rent.
So just a minute. Why should she have any bills? That wasn't your arrangement. Mr. Mazur.
But there is an eviction process you go through in the state of California. You just don't throw somebody out and lock them out.
Where's his mother?
My mother, I can't live with her. She has cats, and I'm fatally allergic to them. So I can't live with my mother.
Your mother has cats, sir?
Yeah.
I have no more time. This lawsuit is nonsense. The case is dismissed. Who are you?
I was his girlfriend at the time, and he did have a job when he moved there.
I was invited by them to go to school. That's why I went there. And they didn't have the money at the time to pay for me to go to school.
Mr. Mazur, it's not her fault that your father violated his parole and served 6 months. She doesn't have to support you, sir. She's got enough trouble of her own. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, it's case number 398 on the calendar in the matter of Simon versus Ayala. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Young lady.
You two folks, according to these papers, were in a brief relationship. You each tell lengthy stories about the abuses, deceit of the other. But bottom line, this lawsuit is about a loan that you allege that you made to the defendant.
Yes.
And you made that loan to her after you had already broken up, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Tell me about that loan.
Well, she gave me a phone call one morning, and she told me she wanted to move out from the place where her and her children was residing, and she needed $950 for the first month's rent and for the deposit. And so I was kind of reluctant to, even loan her the money. And then I just asked her if I could have the pink slip to her vehicle for a security.
You said this to her over the phone?
Yes,
Okay.
and also in person.
But first you told her over the phone.
Yes.
And what she asked you for was $950.
Yeah,
Is that what you lent her?
that's what I lent her.
And tell me how that came about.
Well, she came over about 2 or 3 days later. She got on the computer and she typed it up herself.
Typed what up?
I have a copy of the agreement that we made.
Let me see.
Bailiff. And that would be Exhibit B. That was the agreement that we made that she typed up.
You remember signing that agreement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So did you give her the money?
Yes, I did.
In a check form?
Yes, I did.
Can I see the canceled check, please? Don't show me a check receipt, sir. I want to see the canceled check.
Okay, well, I haven't got that from the bank. I just got the copy of the check, the duplicate.
The duplicate doesn't show me that the check was cashed, sir.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Mr. Simon?
Yes, I do.
Because her defense is an interesting one. And her defense is that you stopped payment on this check.
That's not true.
Well, it may not be true, Mr. Simon, but that's her defense, correct?
Yep.
So tell me when he stopped payment on this check.
He wrote the check on the 29th of May for the rent. I did indeed sign for the contract. He wanted more more than just the money. He wanted a relationship. I told him the relationship was no longer in existence. He canceled the check and left me and my kids with no home to live in.
He put a stop payment on the check?
He most certainly did.
How do you know that?
Because he asked for the check back from the landlord and ripped it up. And I got the money from someone else. And I have a notarized letter.
From whom?
From the person I got the money from.
Where is that person?
She's an 87-year-old lady.
So?
And here's the receipt that I got from the landlord when I rented the place.
Well, I'll see the rent receipt, but not a notarized statement.
Okay.
So just give me the receipt.
Your Honor, that's not true.
It was very easy, Mr. Simon, for you to prove that to me. It would have been very easy for you to prove that to me by bringing me your canceled check. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Now, you have the pink slip, so you took possession of the truck at some point.
30 days after the contract wasn't followed.
Mm-hmm.
Because it states in here, the contract, she was supposed to pay me payments of $200 a month for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And after the first 30 days, I tried to contact Michelle, but she was impossible to get a hold of. And
Just for my information, Miss Ayala, give me the name of the person that you say loaned you or gave you the $950.
Nadine Gabriel.
And who is that?
That is a lady that I take care of twice a week for over a year now.
You take care of because she's at home?
Yes. It's like an in-home service.
Who's taking care of her today?
I don't do it all the time. It's just twice a week. I take her to her meals and take her to run her errands for her. She stays at home by herself.
Tell me when you asked her for this money.
When he canceled the check, I had nowhere to go. Nowhere. I had my kids. We had already started moving our stuff in. I didn't know he was going to cancel the check. Everything looked fine to me. I had signed the agreement, everything like that. He canceled the check. I went to her home after that, and I was profusely upset, not knowing what I was going to do with my 4 children. It was either live there or be in a shelter. So I was talking to her about it. She said, here, I've got the cash.
That's not true.
I've got the cash. Here it is. She doesn't believe in banks, and she gave me the cash to pay, and that's what I paid for.
Fine. Give me her phone number.
Her number's...
So, according to what you said to me, she's pretty alert lady. There's nothing wrong with her mind, right?
Most of the time, yeah.
What do you mean most of the time?
Well, yeah, she's pretty spry.
Good. Let's give her a buzz.
Okay.
Why don't you all have a seat?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So I need not get into anything else here because you're a liar. Period. End of discussion.
And later today,
I didn't feel like we were going overboard, but a
You
little
never
bit
do
later
when
on,
you're doing
yeah,
shooters of tequila and
Yeah.
beer.
Hey,
After the first
you know.
two shooters, you don't know whether you're coming
never
or going.
know.
Yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Steve Simon claims his ex-girlfriend, Michelle Ayala, didn't repay a loan. Michelle says Steve put a stop payment on the loan check.
Order. Step up, please.
Now, Miss Ayala, let's try this again. This 87-year-old lady doesn't answer her phone, so I want you to write out her address. I'm going to get information on the phone to see if this is the right telephone number because
That's
I
fine.
can't imagine where she might be at this hour.
Well, if you need to let it ring and ring and ring.
I let it ring and ring
Okay.
and ring.
You need her address?
Yes. Would you write it out for Officer Byrd, please?
Right there.
Okay. Why don't you all have a seat here? Nadine Gabriel, Gabriel. Yes. Am I reaching Miss Gabriel? Miss Gabriel, my name is Judge Judy Scheindlin. Judge Judy Scheindlin. And I'm calling because I have a case before me. You know somebody by the name of Mrs. Ayala, who sometimes comes in to take care of you? Okay. Well, I have only one question for you then. Did there come a time recently in the last year that you gave her $950 in cash? Did you give it to her? Did you ever give her, because we're in the middle of having a lawsuit decided now. No, all I'm asking you is, did you ever give her a lot of cash money recently, you know, in the last year? And the amount was that she said was $950. Did you ever give her that kind of money? Please do. Thank you very, very much, Miss Gabriel. You're a very honest lady. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Order.
Miss Ayala, let me tell you what you did first. First, you gave me the wrong phone number. But I'm smarter than you are. On my worst day, I'm smarter than you are on your best day. The second thing you did was that you lied to me. Because Miss Gabriel never gave you the money.
She did.
No, she didn't. She said to me, she said, she asked me for it. And she wanted me to lie for her and say that I did give her the money. She said, but I got too many cats to take care of. And I'm 87 years old, and I wasn't going to give her that money. So I need not get into anything else here, because you're a liar. Period. End of discussion. Now, Who's got the truck?
Me.
So I'm going to deal with your counterclaim right now. You're counterclaiming for $5,000 or something because you say he damaged the truck.
Yes, he did.
Right? It's his truck. So if he wants to damage it, if he wants to throw it off a cliff, if he wants to run it into a wall, that's what he can do. And he wants his truck back.
Yes, I do.
You got it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Within 5 days, that truck is to be returned to him. I will prepare the order. 5 days, you get your truck back, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Liar.
It doesn't matter.
Liar.
It doesn't matter. I have
I know
the
it doesn't
proof
matter
right
because
here.
you're a liar.
You're so
funny.
immature.
Look who's immature.
You're immature.
If you were,
You're
if you-
fighting with a 12-year-old, Steve. That's
No.
immature, okay?
And now the next case.
Parties on Stitsworth versus Collins. Step forward.
47-year-old contractor Kenneth Stitsworth says that his old friend Mark Collins slugged him. Kenneth is suing Mark for medical bills.
How come you both look so nice and normal now? Hard to believe that you could go out and both get blitzed on an evening, which is what happened here, right? Went from one place to another, had a little drinking, old friends, been friends for a long time, right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And then, according to you, sir, he assaulted you. And you had medical bills.
That's
How long have
correct.
you known him?
Mark and I have been friends for roughly about 21 years, since about 1967, 68.
Yeah.
Good friends.
So what happened this night?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say, Judge, that there are 3 reasons why I'm here. The first one is obvious, that I'm here to retrieve the costs for the emergency room, number 1. Number 2, in completing this, I look forward to phone calls being stopped at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning discussing this issue. And number 3, I also want to make certain that there won't be any more phone calls to my partners in Northern California at my corporation up there, where Mark is called up drinking and asking for a position with the company. So I want to make certain that those 3 items are taken care of.
All right. So let me dispel any misconception for you, sir. I cannot give you a restraining order with regard to items 2 and 3.
Understood. And pardon me. I'm in hopes that after today that won't be necessary. I just want to bring that up as an issue today so that we can get that at least recognized. So that's my intent.
Recognizing it is, sir, it's like window shopping. I don't like to window shop because if I can't go in and buy something, I don't like to look at it.
Very well.
Similarly, sir, if I can't do anything about it, I'm not going to beat my gums when he's going to say she doesn't have the power to restrain me from calling his corporate office.
I understand that. That's not an issue to me.
So,
here
Mr.
today.
Collins, if you've been calling his corporate office, just some good advice from somebody who's been around the block a little bit. The wise decision would be to cease and desist. Enough said?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
As soon as I say that, he wheeled around, sucker punched me, I say, and I could feel a lot of wetness on my face, and I looked and there was blood everywhere, and I just said, Mark, what have you done? Man,
Okay.
What have you done?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 47-year-old contractor Kenneth Stitsworth says that his old friend Mark Collins slugged him. Kenneth is suing Mark for medical bills.
Tell me about this evening, Mr. Stitsworth. Come on, let's go.
Okay, the evening started out, Mark had called my home about 2 or 3 days prior to this evening and had asked to come up. I'm in the process of starting some new projects and didn't really have the time to go out and party, although it was the weekend when he was calling.
Okay, let me tell you this. According to these papers, because we were moving along, you
All right.
thought you were going to discuss business.
I can cut to the chase.
Cut to the chase.
All
That's
right.
what we want to
The
get.
situation is Mark did show up to my home, and we both decided to go out and meet 2 lady friends of mine at a restaurant that's there in the area where I live. We did do that. We went in, we had some tacos, we had a few drinks. Mark and I were drinking shooters of tequila and beer. I didn't feel like we were going overboard, but a
You
little
never
bit
do
later
when you're
on,
doing
yeah,
shooters of tequila and
Yeah.
beer.
Hey,
After the first
you know,
two shooters, you don't know whether you're coming
never
or going.
know.
Yeah, you never. One never
But
knows.
anyway, we got ready to leave. I decided it was about time to leave. We were going to go to another place to shoot pool, which we like to do. We walked outside. The two gals that I was with Mark, they both had their cars. I was going to go with one of them. They suggested I go with Mark because he had been drinking. And I said, okay, I'll go with Mark. With that, his car was parked on a real steep incline down in the neighborhood there. It was a dark street. I was following behind him, talking, going along, and he got just about 3 feet from the truck. And I said, Mark, you probably better let me drive. Why don't you let me drive? And with that, no sooner did I say that, he wheeled around, sucker punched me, I say, and I fell backwards, gravity pull, hit the top of my head. I didn't go out, but I got up right away, and I could feel a lot of wetness on my face, and I looked and there was blood everywhere, and I just said, Mark, what have you done, man?
Okay.
What have you done?
You ended up in the emergency room that night, and what was your emergency room bill?
The emergency room bill was $700 and some change, about $720 something, $727. I reluctantly went to the emergency room because I don't like hospitals, but nevertheless,
You have
these
a
people
bill?
advised me to do it.
You have a
Yes,
bill?
ma'am, I do.
Okay, I'd like to have it. All right, Mr. Collins, you're out in the parking lot.
We're in the alley proceeding towards my car.
Let's start at that point.
Okay, I'd come up to Seacan to do business the other way around instead of what he said. Okay.
You're in the car. You're in the
okay,
alley.
I'm in the alley. He starts this rhetoric about, no, I can't get you. I can't help you out now. I just spent $100 on the tab, and now he wants to go to the next bar. And I'm thinking, I don't have any more money. I was the one paying all the tab. I'm up here trying to do business with this guy, and I've known him for years and what a con artist he is. And I'm fed up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's not good judgment. You're trying to do business with this guy who's a con
Well,
artist.
this was like the last test, you know.
All right, so you were testing.
So I get fed up. I'm walking away. He's behind me, comes up, and he starts saying, I'm going to kick your butt. And, you know, and he pulls my arm back. And I go like that, and then I walk a few more steps, and he comes up and says, change the subject. And he goes, you better let me drive. And he grabs from my keys.
No. What's this? He grabbed your keys.
Well,
he said, you better let me drive.
He grabbed out my hand again.
What?
And he said he was going to kick my, you know what, butt. And I went, I don't think so. And I just went like that.
And you punched him.
And I punched him before he was going to punch me.
And you punched him.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. $727.60. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Judge.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 374 on the calendar in the matter of Fuller versus Lewaneg. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may have a seat.
Miss Fuller, you're suing the defendant because you allege that he owes you money for the year that his daughter lived with you.
That's correct.
Now, this was sort of an interesting story. You took her into your home without his permission. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, why don't you tell me how that came about?
She wanted to finish her last year of high school down here to play basketball.
Where is down here?
She was at Paramount at the time, but I live in Dominguez District. She ran away before her father moved to Victorville with her friend. Her father went over there, caused a big scene, had the police involved.
Because his daughter ran away?
Yes. Rashika called her mother in Arkansas and had...
Sir, you and your daughter's mother are divorced, is that right?
We were divorced, ma'am. That's right.
And your daughter was living with you?
She let me keep her for the meantime. She wants to go down.
She was, in fact, at the time that we're talking about, living with you when she ran away.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is the daughter? That's you?
Rashika.
Now, how did you get involved with her?
Through basketball. I met Rashika when she was playing basketball with my daughter. I was the team mother for Paramount's basketball team. They didn't have a lot of support, and I went to all the girls' games. I took the
So that's how you got involved with her?
Yes.
So now we're up to a point where she ran away from her father's house.
Yes.
And somehow contacted you.
Yes.
And you said you can come and live with me.
I talked to her mother in Arkansas.
You didn't speak to her father?
No.
You called her mother?
Rashika called her mother.
Rashika called her mother, with whom she wasn't living at the time?
No.
And her mother gave you permission for her to live in your
Yes,
house?
I have the notarized. She came the next day. I have the authorization.
Okay. And she signed papers, her mother signed papers for her to live in your house?
Yes, and then we went to court, and the court gave me temporary guardianship.
Okay. With her mother's permission?
Yes.
But according to your papers, not with her father's permission?
No.
Father was not happy about this. Is that right, sir?
That's true. He said he didn't know where she was.
So how long did she stay with you?
From June the 17th, 1996 until June the 22nd, 1997.
Now, according to your papers, she played you like a violin.
Yes, she did.
You didn't know that at the time.
No. I looked at that beautiful face, Your Honor, and I believed everything she told me.
Now, you believed everything, all the bad things she told you about her father, that he didn't understand her, that he was verbally abusive to her. You believed all that?
When I first met Rashika, I could see that she was unhappy. She was crying a lot. I could tell she was an unhappy child.
So, Ms. Fuller, my question to you is, you interfered with a family situation. Because when she finally left your home,
yes,
she went back to her father, right?
Yes. After she graduated from high school, she went to college.
But she went back to her father.
Yes, he gave her a car and offered her money, and she left.
Whatever, she went back to her father.
Yes.
So this was a teenager in rebellion. She left her mother's house, right, to go to live with her father? Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am. That's true.
How long have you been divorced from her mother?
Oh, about 15 years.
And how long had she lived with her mother?
14.
And how many years did she live with you?
About a year and a half until she met Miss Fuller.
Yes.
Rashika's mom told me that she was financially unable to care for Rashika and her sister Renisha. That's when she sent them out here. This is what her mom said.
Doesn't sound right to me. You don't send two children to their father after they've been living with you for 15 years or for 14 years because you're financially unable to take care of them.
She said she had had an accident and was hurt and wasn't able to take care
Well,
of them.
when you met her, when she came to sign the guardianship papers,
yes.
Did she appear to be injured to you?
Maybe.
What does maybe mean?
She seemed to, like she had a head injury, maybe.
She didn't have a head injury that prevented her from signing these guardianship papers.
No.
Or from understanding that she was turning over legal custody to you of her daughter.
She told me she was unable to care for her.
Okay.
Her father was abusive.
All right. I assume you have at least one teenage daughter?
Yes.
Just so you know that teenage daughters can be difficult sometimes? Or yours aren't difficult?
My youngest one wasn't.
And what about the older one?
Well, they did good. All my children graduated from high school.
I didn't
never
ask-
really had any problems with
Well,
them.
then you should be written up in Guinness Book of Records because most
I was
women,
very lucky.
most mothers who have teenage daughters know that they're a little difficult at times.
I was very lucky.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
At the time, I felt he didn't understand, but now that I see it, and I'm, in college, and I see my sister going through getting disciplined, I understand she needs it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Doris Fuller wants Ray Lewanig to pay her for taking care of his daughter, Roshika. Ray says she took his daughter without his permission.
Now, I want to know why you think that this man ought to pay you anything.
Well, for child support, when the courts gave me temporary custody of Rashika, the judge sent us, Ray and Rashika and I, to go talk. We went to the IHOP in Compton. He offered me $400 a month child support. I said that was fine. Rashika and her dad left. When she came back, I asked her for the check. She was hesitant to give it to me.
What month was this?
In May.
That was a month before she left.
Yes.
Well, why are you suing for $4,200 if I believe you, that You say he agreed to pay you $400 a month, and then his daughter went back to him within a month. Why should I give you $4,200?
I had her for a year.
Right.
And when she came to play basketball...
I'm not interested in anything else. What I'm really concerned about is you took this child without her father's permission. You discussed the matter with her mother, not her father. Her mother gave you guardianship. You made no attempt, according to what you've told me, to get child support from her mother, who was the one...
She sent me $75.
She sent you $75. You're suing him for almost $5,000. She was the one who gave you permission to take her daughter without his consent. He didn't even know where she was. Is that right, sir?
That's very true, ma'am.
Were you collecting welfare for her?
No.
Who was covering her medical insurance?
Her father paid her medical insurance. The one time I took her to the doctor, they gave me a $5 payment, and I paid that.
So she wasn't on anybody's welfare budget?
No.
Okay, sir. How much money did you give her in total to take care of your daughter after you knew where she was?
Well, I tried to negotiate with her because I saw my daughter in good, condition.
When was that? What month was that?
In May, right after the court hearing. We went to IHOP, and I offered, look, I can only give you $200 a month in front of her because as far as I know, she was with her mom.
You mean before that you thought she had been with her mother?
Uh-huh.
And then you went to court.
I went to court.
This was in May of '97.
Yes, ma'am, May of '97.
And in May of '97, you went to IHOP and had this discussion about support. And how much money did you give her in May?
I didn't give her anything. I offered her $200. And
right.
I thought she agreed, so I went to the bank with her, gave her the $200.
Did you give?
I explained it to her. I cannot afford $400 because I just moved out. I got 2 young kids now of my own from my new marriage. And she's not in my budget because I know she's gone.
Okay.
Gone back to her mom.
Step up here. You're the daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you go back to your father's house?
After we had in court, we all went out to breakfast and we cried. Sorry.
It's okay. You were ready to go home?
Yeah.
Hmm?
I had seen my little sister and my little brother, and and my father, we talked things out, and I wanted a relationship with him again.
Okay. You think that part of the problems that you were having with your dad that caused you to leave were at least in part your fault?
When I was with my mom, I never got disciplined. So when he disciplined me, I rebelled.
When you say he disciplined you?
Grounded me.
Grounded you?
Took my car away.
And your mom never did those things?
No.
That wasn't wrong of him to do, right?
No. Well, at the time, I felt...
You thought it was?
He was just all against me, and he didn't understand, But now that I see it, and I'm, in college, and I see my sister going through getting disciplined, I understand she needs it.
Miss Fuller, let me tell you what you did, madam. You interfered in a family situation. You had no business interfering with this family situation. Took it upon yourself to take this man's daughter, who was living with him, and he seems like a perfectly reasonable, responsible man, and according to his daughter, did absolutely nothing but discipline him in reasonable ways. Grounded her, took away her car, and she wasn't used to it because her mother never did any of those things. Now, the fact that she, to you, was upset and crying and seemed unhappy with her father, that's not a reason for you to interfere in a family situation. I mean, if you took some time and if you let the situation take some time, there is a possibility that father and daughter could have worked things out. But instead, you hopped in there.
Your Honor?
Yes.
When Rashika called me, she told me her father did not have custody of her. Her mother had custody of her.
Miss Fuller, you knew she was living with her father?
Yes. We went to go get Rashika. Her mother and I went to go get Rashika. We took the Southgate police with us because Rashika and her mother said they were afraid for us to go there by themselves because he's a violent man and he had a lot of guns in the home.
Well, listen to me.
The Southgate police with us.
Listen to me. That was all a lot of baloney. She's back with her father. So whatever stories you got from either Rashika or her mother were not true, because if they were, and if she was genuinely fearful of her father because he has a violent temper and because he has guns in the house, she would not be living with him now.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today...
So you got to learn to get your story straight. Before you gave me some baloney story about you said, yes, you was going to pay her back, but then your check was all messed up and you couldn't pay her back. Come on, get it together.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Doris Fuller wants Ray Lewanig to pay her for taking care of his daughter, Roshika. Ray says she took his daughter without his permission.
You butted in. And if you butted in, you got to pay. So your lawsuit against this man is dismissed. And I suggest to you that before you take in any other teenagers and take them away from their custodial parents, and he was at that time the custodial parents, you better make darn sure that there is a good and valid reason. And that sometimes means leaving it up to professionals and stepping back. You're a biological stranger from this family. He didn't give his consent. He had absolutely no reason to have his child removed from his custody, other than the fact that, according to her, and I believe her, he disciplined her by grounding her when she did something wrong and by taking her car away. He's her father. He has an absolute right to do that. So, your lawsuit against him is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She took it upon herself. I told her again and again, this is blood related. You're nobody to us.
You hadn't seen her for 11 months, Ray.
Of course I never saw her because you hid her from me.
No, I didn't.
And now the next case.
Parties on Sanders versus Murray. Step forward, please.
23-year-old Heather Sanders wants her former good friend, 25-year-old Jennifer Murray, to pay her back for the repairs on her car.
You two were good friends?
Yes.
How long had you been friends?
For about 2 years, 2.5 years.
And Miss Murray, you had an accident with your car?
Yes.
What kind of an accident did you have?
A repair problem. The car broke down and it needed some repairs.
So you asked the plaintiff if she would put it on her credit card?
Well, actually, I told her that the car broke down and she said that she could help me out. And then I agreed.
Doesn't sound 100% logical, but let's take it from there. So she put it on her credit card, the repairs, $627, something like that?
About, yeah, $646.
And what was the arrangement as far as paying back this money?
The arrangement was that she was going to pay me half within 2 weeks after the day that it was charged, and then the balance within another 2 weeks, so altogether within a month.
What happened?
I never got any of the money back. Well, I got $100. What happened was a month went by, and she said, well, I have over half of the money, and I'll give you over the half on Wednesday, October the 1st. So I went to her house that day to pick up the money, and she gave me a $100 bill, and she said, well, I don't have any more of the money, and I will pay you back when I can. Stop calling me, stop bugging me. And basically, that was it.
Go ahead.
That's pretty much what happened. She said that I told her that I would pay her back all the money, and I made arrangements to pay her back a couple of weeks when I got paid. But something happened with my check where I didn't get paid right away like I was supposed to, and I told her that they messed my money up or something. And she said that didn't matter. She wanted her money right then and there. I said, well, my job messed up my check. I don't have it, so I'm going to have to wait another 2 weeks until I get paid.
So why didn't you give it to her after another 2 weeks?
That's when I gave her the $100. I gave her what I could. I didn't have the full amount right away.
Well, what was your arrangement with her?
To originally pay her back after a couple of weeks, but when...
That's not what you said in your answer. Did you forget what you wrote in your answer?
No, she said pay her back whatever I can, but whatever I can, just as long as I pay her back the money.
You know, you keep changing your story, Miss Murray. But bottom line is, you owe her the rest of the money. Total bill was what? $676.14. Is that the bill?
Yes.
Is that the bill?
Yes.
All right.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
I'm just going to remind you, Miss Murray, that you swore in your answer that the agreement was that you put it on the credit card and you would repay back small amounts, small payments, just as long as the statement was covered for the month. And that the reason you didn't pay her back all the money is because then she said she wanted it all back at one time. So you got to learn to get your story straight.
That is what happened.
Well, you didn't tell me that before. Before you gave me some baloney story about it. You said, yes, she was going to pay her back, but then your check was all messed up and you couldn't pay her back. Come on, get it together. Okay. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $576.14. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This case number 418 on the calendar in the matter of Hickman versus Fraley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
You were together for 4.5 years. You let him use your credit cards. You split up. You don't pay.
Correct.
What'd you give him your credit cards for?
Well, we dated for almost a little over 4.5 years, and he did not have a credit card. So on occasions when he needed to use a credit card...
Why didn't you have a credit card?
I didn't want a credit card. I didn't need one.
You had hers?
Didn't have hers. She had hers.
Did you use hers?
I didn't use hers without her being there. She was
I
there.
didn't mean that you used it without her knowledge and permission. Did you use her credit card?
We used her credit cards.
Did you ever use her credit card for things that was strictly for you?
Yes.
Like what?
Well, some car repairs.
Okay, and that was for your car?
Right.
So you did need a credit card for your car repairs?
Well, at the situation, I didn't really need a credit card. I could have paid for it myself cash, but it was offered the use of the credit card to pay for my car repairs.
So, chivalry being dead, you accepted?
Well, that's a different type of... I wouldn't say that. I'd say that the money was supposed to be used towards a vacation that I was going to be going on with the plaintiff.
How much did you charge on her credit card for your car repair?
About $850.
Did you pay
that
for
would
it?
be actually incorrect.
Okay. How much did he pay?
How much did he pay?
For the car repairs.
How
much did he charge on your credit card for the car repairs?
For the car repairs, about $1,400.
And how much of that did you pay?
I'd say I paid probably all of it.
Show me.
I can't show you. I can show you what I did pay, though. I can show you what I've paid over the years. Basically, the plaintiff had my checkbook. She wrote checks for me. She just said, okay, well, this is what we're paying, this is what I'm paying. And I just continued to pay.
Let me just see, sir, your checks for June.
There you go.
Okay. June.
And this is a statement. I paid $908. Your Honor, basically through our relationship, I paid for everything.
What are you showing me here?
Those are copies. I couldn't get canceled checks in time. The bank sent me the wrong statements. So I'm showing you a bank statement, and as well as a copy of my check ledger, which shows that I paid $908.
I'm not interested in your check ledger, sir. Okay. Now, what about Visa? Let me see the charges on Visa for his car.
They're right here. And I have payments. I mean, he was accredited, this is from October of 95 until July of 96. And there's, in the red, those are his payments. So I gave him full credit for everything that he did, or paid. I just want what he owes me plus the interest. It's accrued since. I agree that it's pretty lame that he charged me on my credit card.
Very lame. Very lame. And
It wasn't a
nobody's
matter of me charging on her card. It's like, I want this, I'm charging on the credit card, and you're paying for it.
Okay. You owe her some money for the car repairs, sir.
But these other charges, are his that he made.
Your Honor,
that
did she...
I would not have said that, yes, go ahead and use my credit
Your
card
Honor,
and I'll pay for this.
On the American Express bill that she breaks down for June, does she break down what would be my charges and her charges?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why wouldn't she want to do that throughout our relationship on the American Express bill that I paid?
Why?
We always do.
Just a second. Why?
Yeah.
She did.
No.
But maybe she did it in this month because, you don't break up overnight, sir. Things start going bad in the months before that.
A couple years before that.
Right? Well, then you stayed in the relationship longer than you should have. So. People have to be smart, both men and women. You don't commingle these assets and expect somebody else, courts, to waste their time going through a 5-year relationship, separating who bought Kleenex and who bought toilet paper and whether it was his toilet paper or your Kleenex. That's just not going to happen, madam. You look like an intelligent young woman. You don't let somebody else use your credit card.
I took his word. I thought
dating
he would
for
pay.
4.5 years isn't being married.
I realize that.
Why, after 4.5 years, weren't you married? Huh?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, Mr. Fraley.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. You broke up in June.
In July.
In July of 1996, correct?
Yes.
What I would like you to do is, assuming that this was valid evidence, which it is not, but assuming it was, I just want you to take out the sheet of payments that you made on the Visa and MasterCard on or after July of 1996.
None.
All right. So then what you're expecting me to believe, sir,
So that everything was paid prior.
is that you were all up to date on the Visa and all up to date on the MasterCard. If that's what you want me to believe.
That's what I want you to believe.
No way. No way.
Your Honor, breakups are never good. I mean, through our 4-year relationship, I paid for, and I think the plaintiff will agree that I basically financially took care of her when we went out.
I would disagree.
Well, she can disagree if she'd like, but since I was making more money than her, I took more of the financial burden, and that was understood.
Except, sir, that when you broke up, there was an $8,000 bill due on Visa.
Okay.
That was a debt. That was a debt that...
Wasn't my $8,000.
Well, but a good portion, at least a portion of it, sir, was yours. A portion of it here has your car repairs, which were extensive, and you were making minimum payments due on the account. So then you break up and you decide, well, I don't have to make minimum payments anymore on the account. I'm not going to make another payment on the account, which is exactly what you did, because there is nothing in your ledger to suggest that after you kissed each other goodbye, you made one additional payment, which is really sort of outrageous.
I never knew how much money I paid all along now.
Well, that's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do believe him when he says that he paid for certain things in cash. Otherwise, you would have been a jerk to stay with him since he was earning 4 times as much as you were, right?
Yes.
Good.
And later today,
You don't, sir, ask her boyfriend to step up to the mic so that you can do fisticuffs with him. It's like Dumb and Dumber.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Wendy Hickman wants her ex-boyfriend, Mark Fraley, to pay her back for the use of her credit while they were together.
She's suing you for half of this $8,000, and I don't even know if half of it is yours. But I certainly think that your car repairs are yours. There are a lot of other charges here that are substantial, big ones. You know, did you go to Tahoma Lodge and Tahoma, California together?
Yeah, we did.
You went together and you charged that on the credit card, $232, right?
She charged it. I paid it.
You paid.
Okay, she would charge something, I'd bring cash, and I'd pay cash.
Who would you pay cash to?
I'd pay cash for everything else. It wasn't a matter of, okay, let's throw everything on the credit card. I wasn't walking around penniless.
Oh, just a second. I understand. You went to this lodge, and how long were you at the lodge?
Two nights. Yeah, 2 nights.
2 nights. But truth is, I see what you mean. The lodge is paid for on here, but you also had to eat. You tip people. I assume you didn't go skiing or
I
whatever.
have my own money. It's not like I went penniless.
No, but he was with you, so I assume he paid.
No, not necessarily.
You know something? Truth of the matter is, I don't necessarily believe you either. I think that you put some things on your credit card, some things that are clearly his bills. But according to this, you did go on vacation, certain things you put on the credit card. But if you look down the same dates, there are no dates there, like for restaurants, going out to eat, so that he probably paid some of the meals in cash and you put some of the stuff on your credit card. And whether that balanced itself out 50-50 is anybody's guess. You still had an $8,000 nut. Nobody is going to figure this out. Certainly, I am not going to award you $4,000. Because I do believe him when he says that he paid for certain things in cash. Otherwise, you would have been a jerk to stay with him since he was earning 4 times as much as you were. Right?
Yes.
Good. So I don't think you look like a jerk. So I'm awarding you $2,000. Consider yourself lucky. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Unbelievable. So I was helping him out. He didn't have the money. He didn't have the credit to get a credit card. So I allowed him to use it.
I was making 4 times as much, so how come I didn't have the money?
I don't know. Good question. You just don't say on good faith that I'm going to pay you back and you don't do it. That's just wrong.
Oh, but it's okay to take and take and take, and then that's all right.
You have a twisted view of our relationship.
And now the next case.
All parties on Welton versus Lunaria Restaurant. Step forward, please.
Harmonica virtuoso Danny Welton is suing restaurant owner Bernard Jacopi for not paying for his performance. Bernard claims the harmonica player's rude behavior caused customers to leave.
Mr. Welton,
Yes, ma'am.
you play the harmonica.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You do that for a living?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
According to your complaint, you had a contract with the defendant to play at his restaurant.
We had a verbal agreement because I...
Am I speaking? You had a contract with the defendant to play at his restaurant.
Yes, ma'am.
You played there.
Yes, ma'am.
He didn't pay you.
That's right.
That's what this case is about.
That's right.
He's got a defense, and he says, you didn't play and you cost him money. So, your agreement was an oral one. How much were you supposed to be paid?
Initially, my band was supposed to get $350 for the band. I was supposed to get 85% of all covers.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I was supposed to be reimbursed for an ad I took out in the Hollywood Reporter.
Mm-hmm.
I got not, and also, something very important and very dear to me, he was supposed to feed my band and he gave them nothing. Nothing.
No, that's not true. Even according to you, he gave him something. According to you, he gave him stale pizza.
Yeah, well, stale pizza. That was nothing.
They ate it.
They spit it, well, actually, they spit it out.
Mr. Welton, let me explain something to you, sir. We are not going to, in this proceeding, play with each other.
Yes, ma'am.
This was for a one-night performance?
A one-night engagement.
And how many shows were you supposed to do in that one night?
2.
And did you do the first one?
Yes, ma'am, and it was packed.
Packed. And then there was a problem, according to you, sir, with the second performance. So why don't you tell me about it?
There was a drunken lady in the audience who started to heckle me.
Mm-hmm. What did you say?
You know, I'll be honest with you, Judge. I do not recall exactly. If I were to say exactly, I would be wrong.
Okay, so you started shouting things.
That's right.
How long have you been a performer, sir?
All my life. Since
So
I'm 3 years old.
I assume you've had people do this sort of thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
And
what
I
did
know
you
how
do?
to handle them.
So what'd you do?
I start throwing lines back at her to keep her quiet, hoping that would squelch the problem. And her boyfriend got mad at me and threatened to charge the microphone. And I said, come on. You know, he was going to come up there. I was, you know, I wasn't going to back off. I've never taken a half a step backwards in my entire life.
So what happened?
Bernard closed the show at that point.
Bernard, you closed the show down when was happening.
We were forced to.
Shh. You closed down the show.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Very smart. Exactly the right thing to do. So what happened next?
Well, actually, there weren't that many people there because it's kind of an early type supper club. You get your big crowd the first show, and sometimes I noticed that there's never even a second show. The first 2 times I played there, there wasn't even a second show.
Oh, you played there before?
Twice before.
Did he pay you?
Yes, the first time everything went well. The second time, he broke his agreement with me. He did not pay me the cover charges.
But you went back for a third time.
Well, I gave him another chance. You know, I'm kind of a sucker that way.
A sucker who never backs down.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of an all-day, not-back-down sucker.
Mm-hmm.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Welton marched around the bar screaming profanity that he was not going on until he was introduced because he's a very big star and he doesn't do things this way.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Harmonica virtuoso Danny Welton is suing restaurant owner Bernard Jacopi for not paying for his performance.
You didn't pay him, correct?
Correct.
You didn't pay him anything.
Not even a biscuit.
No, he gave you stale pizza, Mr. Welton. Mr. Jacobi, tell me why you didn't pay him at all.
The agreement was for 3 shows, like every entertainer. He only did once. We had to reimburse the people that were there, and we had to turn away.
You mean reimburse the people for the second show?
For the second show.
For the cover charge?
That's correct. And we had to turn away all the people that are coming for the second and third show. We had to close the bar. We lost bar revenue, and we lost show revenue. In addition to that, his manager that's present had a tab for $80. Here it is, and he signed it saying he was going to pay the following day. He never did come and pay it.
Well, that's not his problem. He is not his manager's
Well,
keeper.
he was representing Mr. Weldon. And in leaving the property, we have witness here. He assaulted our maitre d'. We have the copy of the security and the police report here. And it doesn't
Who's the maitre d'?
I am.
Step up, sir. What is your name?
Gerard Buck.
You have a complaint filed against this gentleman for assault?
I did file a complaint, yes.
How did he assault you?
On the way out, he elbowed me very hard and kicked me.
That is not true.
We called security, made a report, and then filed a complaint with the police. Made a report with the police department.
Were you escorting him off forcefully?
No, you can't go near him. I mean, he's out of control.
If I may, Your Honor?
You are the manager?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
You drink a lot.
Pardon?
You drink a lot.
No, that wasn't just for me. That was for other people in the audience.
Well, but you were buying.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Why didn't you pay the bill?
Because he said he's not going to pay us. And I said, you can deduct it from what you owe us.
Oh, was that what you said?
That's exactly what I said to him.
Oh, so you told him to deduct
the $80 from the amount of money he
from
owed
the
us.
$300.
Well, there were 28, Your Honor, if I may explain.
Sure.
It's a small showroom with a large bar off to the right-hand side of the performers and a large restaurant that opens up during the performances.
Your Honor.
Just a second. What is your last name?
Edel, Your Honor. E-D-E-L-L.
Mr. Riedel, were you there when this incident occurred with this lady heckler?
Absolutely.
Well, didn't you tell Mr. Welton that he behaved totally inappropriately?
No, I don't believe he did behave
Sure he
inappropriately.
did.
This man threatened him bodily.
No, he didn't threaten him until he started.
Oh, no, Your Honor.
Mr. Riedel, just pay attention to me,
Surely.
sir. He's not a comedian.
Yes, I am.
He's a You are?
He's also a comedian. He's a stand-up comedian, Your Honor.
Listen to me.
Yes, sir, ma'am.
When you're performing, you're in somebody else's house. You, sir, are in his house.
Yes, ma'am.
He has invited guests into his house.
A couple of drunken ones.
That's possible. You weren't playing, sir, in a church. You were playing in a bar restaurant. And somebody was behaving badly.
Excuse me.
Don't say excuse me. I don't excuse you. Pay attention. You don't have to be a genius to figure this out. You just have to use a little common sense. If somebody is drunk in the audience, then what you do is you try not to have that escalate into a dangerous situation. Dangerous either for you, for the other patrons, for members of the band. And if a situation appears to be escalating, then you use good judgment, not that male macho testosterone that I've heard about so much lately. You walk off the stage and you approach the owner or the manager and you say, there's this lady out there heckling me. I just taken a quick break. See what you can do about this lady because I can't continue to perform. You don't, sir. ask her boyfriend to step up to the mic so that you could do fisticuffs with him?
No, he invited himself up to the mic.
I know you said, come on up here.
Well,
You know, it's like Dumb and Dumber.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're supposed to be in charge. You're
Sober
supposed
as a
to
judge.
exercise good judgment. And good judgment is not closing down the show because you invite somebody to come up to the stage, somebody who is probably drunk because he's with a drunken lady.
This is Gadanian. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
All right, well, this is an interesting story. Miss Kennedy, you had a beauty salon that was, but he was not there when you moved in.
Right.
You have a beauty salon, he has a...
Paging and cellular service business.
Okay. And according to your complaint, you were in this salon for about 6 months, expanding his space.
Right. I was in there for a year, and he had been in there about 6 months when he approached me.
Okay, so after a year, he approached you and said...
He pulled me aside on the front porch and said, can we talk for a few minutes? I said, on being in my space.
And how long was your lease, Miss Kennedy?
I didn't have a lease. I was month to month. But I did plan on being there for quite some time.
How much was the rent on it?
$525 a month.
Okay. So the defendant approached...
So I said, let me think about it. 2 days later, I came back to him, and I said $125 a month.
Okay. So the defendant approached...
So I said, let me think about it. 2 days later, I came back to him, and I said, yeah, I think I want to take up your offer. I think that instead of moving someplace else, and borrowed a couple $1,000s from my husband's parents.
So how much did you ask him for?
$3,000 was the agreed amount.
Give you half of what she was paying in rent.
Right.
The landlord said, absolutely not.
Right. He then came next door to me and said the deal's not going to go through, but by then I had already given my girls notice and found another place.
How many employees?
My intention is to move. I need a larger place. And at that point, she says, well, the right time to talk about anything at all.
No.
I don't even know.
No. Just a sec. Shh. Miss Kennedy, $1,000. That figure never came up in your discussion with her. So what you're telling me is the amount of $3,000. Well, you did, in fact, expand your business into her space.
That's correct, yes.
So this is what her throwing out a figure, which you acknowledge that she threw out a figure of 3. So now you got the landlord by the throat.
No participation in her moving out.
No. I'm going to give him a copy of my book. This gentleman.
Glad someone does.
When did you move in?
July 1st.
And what rent did you pay?
About $950. Close to $1,000.
You're a
Let's
good
say
businessman. What do you pay in rent?
Your Honor, the only reason I say about because the rent is for her. What are your plans? And she acted upon that.
I'm going to give him a copy from an old business family. My grandfather was in the appliance business.
And now the next case.
Parties on Russell versus Heinold. Step forward.
For her, what are your plans? And she acted upon that.
I'm going to give him a copy from an old business family. My grandfather was in the appliance business.
And now the next case.
Parties on Russell versus Heinold. Step forward, please.
32-year-old entertainer Karen Russell is suing booking.
That's
correct.
Right? Mm-hmm. The defendant is not the person who didn't pay.
Representing me.
Let me see your contract. He is your agent.
Booking agent.
He is your agent.
That's correct.
He didn't get paid. He didn't get the check from you that he would pay even if it has to come out of his pocket. That's not true. That's not what you said, Miss Russell. What you said to me was he told you. Why in the world would your agent tell that to you when he had a check in his hand from the people who you were working for?
Because I confronted...
After the second show.
The problem was, nipping it in the bud, is they were unhappy because...
They cannot, after you work, and you did work for the 4 shows,
Yes, we did.
they cannot give you a check, and then stop payment on the check. That's against the law. It's not his check. You don't mind if you don't speak, do you?
No, I'm fine.
Your lawsuit's dismissed. Go sue the right person. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Your Honor.
There's the play. We got people walking up to us thinking we were Playboy. Do I look like a Playboy playmate? No, and if you would have not have lied and said we are Playboy playmates. The owner came to me specifically and said,
This is case number 143 on the calendar in the matter of Snook versus Snook. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
You folks were married for 8 years. Still married, but in the process of getting a divorce.
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
You have 2 kids?
Yes.
How old are they?
8 and 3. 8 and 3.
Boy and a girl?
Yes.
At issue in this case are 2 loans that were made during the course of your marriage. One for $3,500? $3,800 to your mother.
Yes.
And another one to a friend for $1,500.
Correct.
You, sir, seem to acknowledge that these loans were made, but refuse to contribute towards repaying them.
Yes.
You're going to tell me why in a minute, I assume. Also at issue are possession of wedding photographs. Is that in an album?
There's a few that he has that he's taken out, but I have some, he has some, but I prefer to have them all together.
They're more like personal photos, private photos that she would like to have back.
I'm talking about the wedding photos.
The wedding photos?
Yes.
There was a few he had, but that was not the issue. The ones that were the issue was the private, personal photos that we had that I want back. And the photos of our kids, videotapes of the children that he has.
Well, first, let's talk about the loans, then we'll talk about these photographs. What was this loan for $3,800 to her mother? What was it for?
Money accumulated through the time of our marriage that her mom had loaned her.
What do you mean loaned her?
Excuse me. Yes, thank you.
Just a second.
Sorry.
I don't need help. What do you mean that she loaned her?
Some of the loans I knew about, some of the loans I did not know about. They were for bills that we accumulated.
Well, sir, you seem to acknowledge that her mother made loans to you as a couple
Yes.
for your bills in the amount of $3,800. Now, that doesn't mean that he's responsible to pay the $3,800. You understand that?
That he's not responsible to pay it?
No, he's only responsible to pay a portion of it.
Yes.
Half of it. You seem not to understand that in your papers.
Well, he won't pay any of it.
You understand, at least I hope you understand now, that he is not solely responsible for paying the $3,800. If your mother made a loan to the 2 of you as a couple, it seems reasonable for each of you to be responsible for half of that loan, unless you can give me some reason why you shouldn't be responsible for half of that loan.
I don't think I should be responsible for any of the loans.
Well, you're going to tell me why in a second. We haven't gotten to that part yet. First, I want to make sure that she's being reasonable. Then I'll get to your being reasonable.
First off, I do think he should pay for most of it too, because part of the loan that we took out, she wrote off $2,500 of it through my college education that I had before I met Jamie. And
I don't understand that.
We had a debt of about $6,500, and she wrote off $2,500 of it as a thank you to me for me paying for my own college.
I'm not talking about your college, madam. I'm talking about the money that your mother lent, come on, for your household bills, which were $3,800. I assume over the course of time this was in dribs and drabs.
Yes, and part of it also was for his vending that he had to take out, and I figure he should pay for that.
For his what?
He has vending machines, like snack machines and stuff.
Were the vending machines the source of your family's income?
No.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I work at special effects and repairs on rides.
And you also have some vending machines?
Yes.
And what did you do with the money that you got from these vending machines?
I was paying on the loan that was taken out for the machines. And the accounts were small, so they weren't making enough to pay the loans.
So you were hoping that this business would get going?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to debate this with you any further. You are responsible for half of these loans. Now, let's get to you. You don't think you should be responsible for any loan to her mother?
Correct.
Tell me why.
Currently, I'm paying out a month right now for my expenses and her expenses, $2,800 a month. That's just monthly payments. I write out every month in checks.
Right.
And then I have another $10,000 of other unpaid bills that I'm going to be responsible to pay for also. So as a contribution towards this, she can take care of that loan while I'm taking care of my living expenses.
Do you work?
Presently, right now, no, I don't.
Well, how are you supporting yourself?
Right now, Jamie is supporting us with what he gives us. But Jamie seems to only want to pay when he wants to pay the bills, and he doesn't have a $10,000 debt that I'm involved in. So I disagree with what he's saying there.
What kind of work had you been doing?
I'm a hairdresser. And I did for 10 years, and I supported Jamie for the first 2 years of our relationship.
I assume that when the divorce is over, you're going to go back to work.
I'm going back to work.
So, sir.
Yes.
Right now, are you voluntarily paying this $2,800, or are you paying it by court order?
Voluntarily.
You're going to have to allocate some of that money towards repaying the loan to her mother. Half of it. Do you understand? $1,800. Half the loan to her mother. Now you have a $1,500 loan to a friend. What was that for? Who wants to tell me?
It was a loan she had taken out from a friend of hers to catch up on some bills we were behind on, and...
Mr. Snook, you keep saying she took out the loans to catch up on bills that we were behind on.
Well...
You mean she asked for the loan?
She did.
And you, too, spent the money on household bills that you were behind on?
Yes.
So, why shouldn't you be responsible for paying back half of those bills?
Initially, I would have felt I was responsible to pay back half, or pay the full amount of the loan or half the loan, except for on the time of our disputing of our difficult times, this gentleman started calling the house and asking her out, and they would go out to the bar and they'd meet and have drinks and stuff, and I thought it was very disrespectful for him to go after my wife and as a friend, and I don't feel like I should pay him now.
You don't have to love him, sir. You just have to pay him. And you only have to pay him half, so it should make you feel better.
I felt he was wrong on that because he felt I was having an affair with this guy, Terry, which I wasn't. He felt I was doing something behind his back, so he wasn't going to repay this loan. He tells me flat out that he's not repaying it because he says, I cheated with another man, and now I can do the debt. But that's not true. And
well, whatever. You asked Terry for the $1,500.
Only because he asked me to.
I did not.
Just a second. You sound, madam,
yes,
you sound like a very, very self-assured person. You didn't ask Terry only because he asked you to. I mean, he didn't strap you down.
No, I don't normally go out and ask people for money.
But you asked Terry for this money. You have to pay $750 back to Terry, and so do you. Do you understand? That's fair. We're talking about being fair. When a marriage breaks up, there are certain assets, and each of you will want half the assets, and there are certain liabilities.
Yeah, but being that I owe him money, I don't think he should be contacting my wife and trying to go out with her.
That's none of your business at this point.
Well, there was a
just a second. Don't respond. That's none of your business at this point.
That was disrespectful as a friend, and then expect me to pay him money after he's trying to sleep with my wife. And then he wants his money back, so he gets her and the money too.
Let me explain something to you. You made this debt. You and your wife made this debt. If it turned out that you didn't like him over anything, whether you felt that he was disrespectful towards you because he was pursuing your wife, whether that's true or not, it's really not relevant. Whether he disrespected you in some other way, that does not negate the fact that you owe this money. Somebody is going to have to pay him back the money, and you originally agreed to pay him back this money as a couple. Period. End of discussion. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Now let's get to the rest of the stuff, which all sometimes is the most sticky of wickets with regard to people who are divorcing.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She's a black widow, and you let her come in.
Yeah, but
she did her little nest, and you fell for it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melinda Snook says her husband James cheated on her. James says Melinda was unfaithful. While waiting for a divorce, they have brought their dispute over 2 loans before Judge Judith Scheindlin.
Wedding photographs, photographs of the children, videos of the babies. These things are treasures of the children's, not really yours. It's interesting, 50% of the marriages in this country unfortunately fail. It's a sad statistic, but true. And so many wedding albums end up having heads cut out of them. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Because that's what you choose to do. Truth is, when your children are adults and much older and you're not here anymore, your children and grandchildren would like to be able to look at their family histories. So I want you to think of these photographs of your wedding and the times that you spent together with your children as really being, you're holding them in trust for your kids. They're not really yours. The wedding albums really will have no sentimental value for you, but they will for your children. The wedding photographs should not be headless. This picture, you have no head in that picture. He has no head. So I don't care how you deal with that. If one person wants to keep them and put them in a vault, we can do that. Or it's very easy. We live in a very technologically sophisticated era. You can make copies of pictures. You can make copies of videos. So you have family videos that are in your possession. Is that right?
Yes.
And you would like them?
Not just the family videos. He also has some personal pictures I want to make sure I get back.
Let's talk about the personal pictures in a second. I'm talking about the children's pictures. If that's not an issue, then don't waste my time.
Oh, no, it is an issue.
Put it in you put it in your paper, so I'm
yes,
addressing
I want the videos because he said I couldn't have them.
Sir.
Yes.
She should have every picture that you have in your possession, or a copy thereof. You have pictures in your possession?
At home, yes.
Well, whether they're at home or whatever.
I already made the albums for the kids. That's why I want these pictures back.
Fine. He would like copies of all the pictures that you have. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is that reasonable?
Yes.
Good. So you add them all up. If you have 100 pictures, each one of you pay for 50 and make copies. So now you have half. And if you have a video that you want, is it a video of the kids?
Yes.
How many videos do you have of the children?
About roughly 8 or 9. I have them here.
Let me see what they're on. What kind of thing are they on?
I'm on VHS tape, Judge.
8
Just a second. My technical advisor is giving me some information.
He can copy them on a VHS tape.
Good. You can copy them on a
VHS tape.
VHS tape. Make her a copy. So she has a copy and you have a copy. Is that fair?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, the photos that you want, I assume, the personal photos, because of the way you say it to me, probably of photographs that you would not like to have broadcast.
Exactly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I believed everything she said, that she was fooling around on me and cheating on me, and I took it very hard.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. A divorcing couple, Melinda and James Snook, have come before Judge Judith Scheindlin to decide who should pay for outstanding loans.
Are they all there, sir?
Yes.
And the tape?
Just a second. I want you, this is a tape?
Yes.
The tape and issue. Don't tell me what's on it. This is a family courtroom. I want you to look at these photographs and tell me if these are the photographs that you have a problem with. Okay?
If they're not all there?
Well, don't speculate. Look.
Most of them.
Okay.
There's a few I can see that he might not call bad that I still consider bad, but aren't in there.
But these are the worst of the lot.
Yes.
Now, you want them back or you want them destroyed?
Destroyed.
We're good at that. Okay, so
And
you
no
understand the
copies were
ground
made?
rules? Everything that you have of the kids, everything that you have of the kids is going to be copied so that each of you has a copy, so that hopefully the children will have always copies, pictures of themselves growing up,
Exactly.
that you will each have photographs. Hopefully that the children will always have the photographs to look back on. And you, sir, are going to give her a check for $2,650, and you are going to assume those two debts yourself. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay? Now, is there anything that I've left out?
Yes.
What?
A mutual friend of ours that caused this whole thing that he is bothering to leave out why he won't pay the debts.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was convincing, I guess.
Why? Why?
She told me what I wanted to hear.
Just a second. He's paying the debt.
There's more to this than that, though.
Listen to me, madam. I don't have all day. I got a lot of cases to do. I've just resolved every issue that you presented to me in your complaint. Okay? I'm not a psychiatrist. If you have a problem, you should see a therapist. I'm here to resolve legal issues. Now,
Well,
are there any other legal issue of property
yes.
that I have not resolved?
There was some pictures, as I said, that are missing that brought
know
into
about
a girl. It brings in another friend that caused a lot of problems.
Did you understand what I said, Miss Nook?
Yes.
Good. Is there any other property that you are interested in?
There is.
What?
There's a few, but I know she doesn't have them all. There might be nothing to you, but there are to me.
Listen to me. I have just resolved this. You understand what the court's ruling is?
Yes.
Good. One last bit of advice. You made two children. They're very young. They're 8 and 3 years old. You are going to have contact with each other for the next 20 years. Graduations, proms, engagements, weddings, after that, grandchildren. If your marriage is over for whatever reason, I want you to love your children more than you hate each other. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Your children didn't ask to be born into a war zone. And I'm certain that when you had your kids, you had every intention of giving them a loving, secure home with two parents. That didn't work out. The children's emotional security should be paramount in your mind. And I want you to understand, and you to understand, that if either of the children has an emotionally damaged parent because of what you do to each other, that's going to hurt the kids. So I'm very serious with you. Love your children more than you hate each other. Okay? That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Good call, Judge. Judge, this is number 339 on the calendar in the matter of Ayala versus Howard. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Your complaint alleges, sir, that the defendant dented your car when she sat on it.
Yes, that's true.
So why don't you tell me how that happened?
Okay, it all took place at the Velocity Car Show, which is held, I believe, in the area of Redondo Beach. The defendant had asked me earlier that day that she wanted to do a couple photo shots on my car.
What kind of car do you have?
I have a 97 Volkswagen GTI. Volkswagen.
Is that a special kind of car?
Well, in that car in particular there's only 500 in the United States that were brought over from Germany.
So you were showing the car at this automobile show?
Right. I invested at least $5,000 prior to that date into that car.
What do you mean you invested?
As far as money for rims and exhaust systems to modify the car.
So you have this very special car. You're showing it at an auto show. And what were you doing there?
I was asked to go there and do some modeling.
Who asked you?
The president from the actual car club called Vorsic.
And how did you two get together?
Well, I had a friendly relationship with her prior to this. And the day of the show, she approached me when she arrived and asking me if she could use my car to pose for a photographer that was coming for her own personal use. And I asked her, what kind of posing are you going to do? And she said, well, I have this pose that I sit on top of the hood and I
That's not true.
Just a second, I'm going to get to you. You have this, she said to you.
There's a pose where she gets on top of the hood and she takes a picture, and it's a real nice shot. And I said, well, have you ever done this before? And she said, yes, I did. I've done it before. Nothing happened. It's a great shot. So she reassured me by doing that, and I was easily convinced to letting her do that.
Okay. According to you, you agreed to let her sit on the hood of your car. And you sat there of the car and took a picture.
Right, but the photographer asked him repeatedly about 3 or 4 times if it was okay.
Of the car and took a picture.
Right, but the photographer asked him repeatedly about 3 or 4 times if it was okay. And he agreed to everything, as far as if we were going to actually sit on the car or model around it or whatever we were going to do.
How did you sit on the hood of the car?
They asked us to actually just sit sideways, kind of facing each other with our feet dangling down on the side of the car, and he took a few
But you were
shots
the
of
only
that.
one who sat on
No, there was another model.
That sat on his car? Was there another model that sat on your
Yes,
car?
there was. Her name is Kalan. She sat the opposite side of the car, at the same position, same area, just on the opposite side of the hood.
Okay. So what happened after the pictures were taken?
I didn't notice the dent until I got home when I was just waxing down the car. And as I was waxing the hood, I noticed that there was a dent in the hood. Well, I felt that it wasn't my responsibility to take care of that, so I called her the very next day, let her know.
3 days later, not the next day.
Listen.
Sorry.
Next day, let her know.
3 days later, not the next day.
Listen.
Sorry.
I hate this thing. Don't interrupt him.
Sorry.
I mean, I could be mistaken, but it was the week after the show. And what happened, I let her know that the fact that she sat in the car, the dent was put into the car. And I just let her know that I didn't feel fair that I had to pay for those damages since it was for her cause and she was the one that actually implied the dent into my hood. She was very humble and actually very generous, saying that she would pay for all damages and you know, embarrassed a bit. But I mean, it was basically a verbal agreement where we both agreed on a date.
Do you have some pictures of this car, sir? That's why I understand that this monitor is in here. You have some pictures that you want to show me?
Oh, yes, I do have some pictures that I need to show you.
That's the car. Where's the damage?
There's a damage. If you see where the light hits, it actually dims down. If I can approach it, I'll show you.
I see it now. Is that the side you were sitting on?
Yeah, it was.
A day or so later, is that right?
Yes, you're right.
How come you have such an expensive car and you didn't know? A day or so later, is that right?
Yes, you're right.
How come you have such an expensive car and you didn't notice this terrible dent in the car until a day or so later, sir?
No, actually, I noticed it the same day, but I called her a day or so later.
First of all, how much do you say it's going to cost you to fix it, sir?
Well, I have an estimate here from the dealer service area that I deal with. They appraised the damage. That's the amount that I'm suing for.
$561?
Yes.
All right. And what's your position?
Well, first of all, when we were taking the shots, he stood there and watched the whole shoot and said nothing. He was even suggesting different poses. Basically, to make a long story short, afterwards, I saw him polishing off the car. He did not approach me with any concern about damages. I actually went over there off the car. He did not approach me with any concern about damages. I actually went over there and looked at the car. There wasn't any damages. And it wasn't until actually 3 days later that he called me and told me that there were damages on there. If they had asked him if it was okay, and all of a sudden he's coming back to me 3 days later saying that I made these damages, it would be his responsibility only because the photographer had asked him over and over it was okay if we were to get on the car.
Oh, you asked him. You asked him. That was enough.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She asked you if she could sit on the hood of your car.
Right.
You're a fool to have said yes. You're a fool.
And later today,
it's obvious to me that when you move out, you move out. You take your clothes, you take your shoes, you take your hats, and you take your doggone cars too.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carlos Ayala says when car model Monique Howard sat on the hood of a sports car to pose for a photo, she left a dent. Monique says she's not responsible because she had Carlos's permission to sit on the car.
Mr. Ayala.
Yes.
You think that she should be responsible for all these damages
Do
to
I
your
feel
car?
that I should be responsible?
That she should be.
Yes, I do.
Well, you're wrong. You want to know why, sir?
Yes, I do.
If she had sat on your car without your permission, she would be totally responsible for the damage to your car.
Right.
You are supposed to be an intelligent man. If somebody asked me if they could sit on the hood of my car, and if I said sure, and if they damaged the hood of my car, Whose fault would that be?
Well, considering if I make a statement,
Yeah.
there's two models that sat on the car.
Uh-huh.
First of all, the other model did not dent the car, which
Yeah,
was
maybe she was thinner.
Which was what she asked me
Just
for.
a second. Maybe she was thinner.
Yeah, actually, she was very much thinner.
Well, then, sir.
Right, but
look,
I'm not.
you use your eyes.
Right.
You look at one model who's thinner. If my 2-month-old grandchild was on the hood of my car, and if my 9-year-old grandson Casey sat on the hood of my car and I said it was okay, and if Casey damages the hood of my car, that's my fault because he's 9 years old and weighs more than a 2-month-old baby. So if you look at these two women and she's a little heftier, and you tell her it's okay to sit on the hood of your car because you wanted your car in some sort of a magazine, why should she pay for it?
That's an incorrect statement there. I didn't ask her to take the shot for my purpose.
Doesn't make any difference.
Second.
She asked you if she could sit on the hood of your car.
Right.
You're a fool to have said yes. You're a fool.
Well, considering that I'm not a weight trainer and I'm not an expert in that field, I wouldn't be able to make a professional...
I want to tell you something. I'm not a weight trainer, and I'm not an
Exactly.
expert in that
Well,
field,
then
and
you
I
have-
wouldn't let anybody sit on my car. You think that if this guy said to me, Judge, I want to take a picture on the hood of your car.
Right.
Could I take a picture on the hood of your car? And he sat on the hood of my car, and the hood went to the pavement. that I would say, it's his fault? No, sir. It's my fault, because I was the idiot.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying to you? This
Well-
lady, looking exactly like she did, said, I want to sit on the hood of your brand new, expensive, rimmed car from... And then she sat on your car, and according to you, she dented it, and you think that that's her fault.
Not entirely.
Dismissed.
Parties are excused. Step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
And now the next case.
Parties on Jackson versus Mitchell. Step forward.
31-year-old student Adam Jackson.
Jackson versus Mitchell. Step forward.
31-year-old student Adam Jackson is suing his former roommate Lorraine Mitchell because she refuses to return his 1985 El Camino.
All right, I don't think this is very complicated. Mr. Jackson, you and Miss Mitchell were friends, and for a while you lived in her house.
Yes,
You lived in her house along with other property, an old car,
correct.
and then you moved out of her house.
Yes.
And you left your...
Vehicle on a property.
What kind of car was it?
It's an 85 Chevy El Camino
And where on the property did you leave the car?
in her backyard.
Were there any other cars in the backyard?
No,
Just yours.
just mine.
And how long did you leave it there?
I would say from April 97 through November, and it's still there. November this year.
And you want your car back?
Yes.
And you say...
And I say, Mr. Jackson, you're more than welcome to have your car back, but I want to be paid $18.50 for storage per day.
Why?
I checked with several storage companies because if he had had his automobile parked in a garage towing service, he would have paid $18.50. And on top
Why
of
did
that,
you let him leave the car there to begin with?
why did I let him leave the car?
Yeah.
Because he didn't have any other place to take it. Judge, I called Mr. Jackson on several occasions, over and over and over, repeatedly over, asking him, please come and pick up your car. I asked him over 5 or 6 times. I have the dates written down, and he will testify to that, I'm sure.
But, Miss Mitchell, you had no agreement with him that he was going to pay you to store the car. He didn't do the right thing and get the car out of there fast enough. Why?
Well, at the time I was going to school, I tried. I tried when I told her I was going to come by to pick up the car. So when I finally sold my car, I told her I was going to come by to pick up the car. So when I finally sold my car, I had the guy who I sold the car to go by her house to pick it up, and that's when I found out that I was going to have a hard time picking up the car.
Yeah, and when was that? When did you sell your car?
November 7th.
Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden somebody showed up at your property to look at the car? Is that what happened?
Well, first of all, a young lady called me over the phone, and she says, hello, I'm Stella. I'm going to be coming over to look at Adam's car. I'm like, huh? Okay. And then the next thing I know, at 8:30 at night, there's a gentleman knocking at my door. I mean, and it's pitch black dark where I live at. And I'm saying, who is this at my door? I'm recovering from a nervous breakdown. He knows I'm ill. Judge Judy, he hasn't even called me to give me the decency to say, Lorraine, someone is going to come over and be looking at the car.
How old are you?
31.
Miss Mitchell, you said it.
Here.
How old are you?
31.
Miss Mitchell, you said it.
Here.
How old are you?
31.
Miss Mitchell, you said it. He's an irresponsible child.
That's right.
No question about that.
And this is what this is all about. To teach a irresponsible child on somebody's property for 6 months and come back and all of a sudden it's yours. You have on somebody's property for 6 months and come back and all of a sudden it's yours. You have interrupted my business, Adam. You know I have my pallet business back there. I haven't.
Don't talk to him, talk to me.
Judge, I have a pallet business there in the back where I store expensive pallets are back there. We can't put the fence back in place because once I put the fence in, he has to tear the fence down to get his car out. How many times do I have to call him? Adam, come get your car. Adam, come get your car. Adam, come get your car. I don't feel I have to call him that many times.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You rip and run to Vegas every other weekend with these young flukes.
Will continue in a moment.
All right, this is case number 373 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Golden. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Ma'am.
Mr. Davis, you and Ms. Golden had been co-workers, and you claim in your complaint that she purposely keyed your car, scratched it.
Scratched it, yes, ma'am.
She says she didn't do it. So, let me hear about why she would scratch your car. Did you see her scratch your car?
Yes, I have a witness that's seen her scratch my car.
Well, first tell me why you think she would want to scratch your car.
Well, we were co-worker at one time, and Ms. Golden is primarily responsible for answering phone and data entry. Her business, as far as with my company, is strictly upfront, answering phones and data entry. She has no business in the back of the warehouse at the particular time when she was seen in the back of our warehouse at all, period.
Why would she want to key your car, sir?
I have no idea. She felt that I had some sort of attitude towards her, which I did not.
What caused you to leave the job?
It was through a temporary assignment, and I got canned because of Fred Davis.
So you were fired because of him?
Yeah.
Why?
We weren't talking previously before I worked there, and as the months went on, he finally, said good morning, because he was the type of person that would walk by you and wouldn't say good morning. He had a major attitude. And so one morning he approached me and we began talking, and he would always come up to me and start saying how he needs a real good woman and how he's lonely, and he wants to know if I had any homegirls or friends I could set him up with.
Homegirls?
Yeah, that's what he said. That was his words. Do you have any homegirls that I could set you up with? So finally I introduced him to my friend Bridget, who's a good friend of mine. And they went out at a club, and she can tell you basically what kind of person he was with the attitude. And they didn't get along, so I guess he felt since their relationship didn't work out that I would have some reason to do something.
Well, what makes you think he had you fired?
Because I wrote him a note saying that he had a bad attitude. I would always tell him all the time, you have a bad attitude, maybe that's why you're by yourself. And so I wrote him a note because one morning he wouldn't talk to me when I was asking him. So I wrote a note and said, you have an attitude problem, that's why you're by yourself. And he showed it to my boss.
Did you show this note to your boss?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Here's the note right here.
Why did you show the note to your boss?
I have no idea what her intentions were. She seemed like she was upset about something. I have no idea what that might be. Just so that I don't have any kind of confrontation and everything is out in the open, I took that note and I showed it to her boss. Her boss said, well, we're not happy with her performance, and just hang tight. Don't say anything to her. Just leave her completely alone. Don't have any kind of talkings or dealings with her. And
they fired her?
I knew already prior to me leaving that Friday that my assignment was over. So it wasn't like, because I didn't want to be there because it was only part-time, and the agency was finding me more hours.
All right, now this note was written on the 17th of November?
Yes, right around that time. Yes.
When was your car keyed?
The 21st of November.
Were you still working there?
Yeah, that was my last day of work, that Friday.
Oh, okay. And you didn't see her key your car?
No, ma'am, I did not.
But you say you have a witness who did see her key your car.
Yes, I do.
Is that witness here?
Yes, he is right here.
Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
My name is Salvador Vasquez.
Mr. Vasquez, do you work at the same place that these people
no,
work?
I don't.
Where do you work?
I work behind his company. I was around the area on lunchtime. I get off at 11:45 to 12:30, and I saw this lady around the time pacing in the back of his warehouse, like 3 or 4 times, and she decided to walk around to his car. But I didn't see her doing it, but I saw her around there, and then she left.
I have. So, just a second. So you didn't see her do anything except be there?
Be there around his car.
Did you see her do any hand motions, or did you just see her there?
I saw her there. That's it.
I have something.
Yes.
Can you tell me what time he said that happened?
You said it was lunchtime.
Like around, it was around, I get off 11:45, 12:30, but she was around there around 12.
Okay, because at this time I usually go relieve the receptionist from the switchboard from 12 to 1. So I was at the front desk relieving her for lunch when that happened.
Do you have a car parked in that lot?
No, I parked my car in front of the building because they have parking for the employees, and I just decided to park on the street for the whole entire 4 months that I was there.
Had you ever seen her before?
No, that was the first time I saw her there.
How did you identify her?
Well, she was like, her hair, like, you know, like down, tight, and then she was wearing like a sweater and then something black, like a skirt. I was seeing her like looking back and forth, walking around for a while. But
So,
I didn't know what she was looking for.
Did you see her face?
Yeah, I did. But she like, you know, round face, black, you know.
When was the next time you saw her?
No, that was the first and last time I saw her.
Now, if you look at her now, is this the same lady that you saw? Are you positive of that?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Now, I want you to look at her. Are you positive that this is the same lady that you saw?
You don't know?
Just, sir.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
As you're standing here today, you're looking at the defendant. Is this the same person that you saw in the parking lot that day?
Yes, ma'am.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have that was on a Friday, which was casual day, so I wouldn't go to work with a skirt and a sweater on. I had on just jeans and a regular old blouse because it was casual day.
How do you remember that?
Because it was the last day of my job. I mean, I was hurt. I remember the day. I have a son to raise. I count all my pennies, believe me.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You have a major attitude, and that was what this was all about. Setting you up with somebody.
Obviously, you can see who's got the attitude.
And later today.
How long did you go out with Mr. Charmer over here?
Not one day.
Not one day? You didn't go out with him at all?
Well, I did, but it was a mistake.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Fred Davis says former co-worker Kendall Golden damaged his BMW after she was fired from her job.
Miss Golden, this man has no axe to grind. He's not a friend. You're not a friend of his, are
no,
you?
I'm not.
He's just a civilian witness.
Mm-hmm.
And this clearly, you understand, Mr. Davis, is a case of circumstantial evidence.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You had the opportunity. Based upon what you've both told me today, you certainly had the inclination because you think he was responsible for getting you fired.
No.
Oh, sure. But you seem to indicate that here, that he, and you indicated that to me.
But that was brought on, too, by him kept bugging me, constantly
Whatever it was,
asking me.
You thought that he was getting you fired. This was your last day of work. You just told me that you had no reason to be in the back parking lot because you park your car in the front, right? And I have an independent witness who saw you going back and forth in the back parking lot and around his car.
True. I don't even know where his car was. I don't even, you know. I was at the switchboard. I didn't go outside, but one time to the warehouse.
I'm not so sure about that. Let me see the damage to your car.
Here's the estimate, and here is the pictures of my vehicle.
I mean, I have no reason to do anything like that.
Sure you did.
I do.
Sure you did. You absolutely did, because you were leaving a job. It was your last day.
But I knew already prior to that. No.
Oh, yeah.
I was in good standing with the company. The boss bought me lunch that day. He told me I can use him as a recommendation because I did good work for their company. So I left in good spirits. I got along well with everybody, and that was it. I never got into any altercations at all with anybody there.
I'm going to ask you one more time, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any question in your mind that this is the lady that you saw?
No, no question at all.
No question at all?
No.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,054.12, which is the amount of your estimate.
Thank you.
That's
Parties
all.
are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
I'm that one to point the finger unless
Yes,
I
you are. You
feel.
have a major attitude, and that was what this was all about. Setting you up with somebody.
Obviously, you can see who's got the attitude.
Wow.
I have not said nothing but, stated my case, and that's it.
And now the next case.
Parties on Guerrero versus Monroy. Step forward, please.
18-year-old telemarketer Mayolo Guerrero says his co-worker, 22-year-old David Monroy, assaulted him, breaking his jaw. David Monroy says Mayolo attacked him.
Mr. Guerrero, you claim that the defendant, who was a former co-worker of yours, assaulted you and fractured your jaw. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
He says that he just got in the first punch. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So why don't you start at the beginning, Mr. Guerrero, and tell me what happened?
Well, what all happened is a couple of months ago, the defendant was dating my sister, my twin sister, and they were dating for a couple of months.
Could you speak up, sir?
After a while, she didn't like the way he was treating her, and one night they had a discussion, and she told him that she didn't want to talk to him no more, and she hung up on him. He called back, I guess, later, a couple of minutes later. I guess he was mad, and I picked up the phone, and he said if he could speak with my sister. I replied that she didn't want to speak with him, and it was better if he didn't call no more. So he got mad, and he was pretty good friends with one of the managers of the place where we worked at.
So you both worked in the same place?
Yes, we did.
What kind of work did you do?
For a home improvement company.
What kind of work did you do?
Telemarketing.
Just telemarketing. Just
Marketing?
Yeah, marketing.
On the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. You
And,
call people and try to convince them to have their home improved?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And
that's right.
After that, he was pretty good friends with the manager, the office manager there, and I guess he got mad because of the incident. He got him to lay me off. So I got laid off. After that, I went somewhere else, right? Looked for another job. A week later, I returned to the office to pick up a check for a sale that I had made. And when I finished, talking to the office manager, as I was leaving the office, Mr. Monroy approached me, and he asked me if he could talk with me for a couple of seconds. So I said, yeah, it was fine. We were walking out, and as he was on my left side walking, and all of a sudden we got to a hall, and as we got to the hall, he came behind me, and out of nowhere he hit me on my right side here. I then fell down. I hit my head against the wall, and then he yelled something about I've never done something about how he never did anything to me, and then he took off. I went to the hospital to see if anything was wrong with it, and they checked it out, and they said it was fractured, and I was in there overnight for 2 days. I couldn't return to work because my jaw was wired shut for 3 weeks.
I'll look at your medical bills in a minute. Okay, sir, let me hear your version of what happened. Over here.
Well, what happened was that we used to work at a different company before, and then I went to this other company, and I decided to get him a job over there because I was trying to help the guy out, whatever. And I was seeing his sister, but I was seeing other females as well, you know what I'm saying, and I kept that all open. And he didn't like that because he'd hear about my stories and da-da-da. And,
No.
And,
not yeah. We're not watching Seinfeld, sir. This is a court.
Yeah.
All right?
I mean,
so,
all right.
No, Mr.
Anyway,
Monroy,
so
Mr.
I let
Monroy,
him know.
try not to speak over me. You were dating his sister,
Mm-hmm.
and what you're saying to me is that at work, when you were working together, you were talking to him about other women that you were dating too.
No, I wasn't. I didn't say that.
Well, what
I
were you
said I was
saying?
talking about other females, and he overheard me. He heard me, you know, and telling other people that I work with, you know, just my dates or whatever. You know, I just, you know, go out on a date. And anyway, he didn't take that too well, so he would just start talking, you know, bad about me, just saying bad things. You know what I'm saying? Just rude things that, you know.
Let me give me an example.
It's just things that piss me off, you know, just whatever, you know, all, you know, just things, you know what I'm saying? I can't sit here and tell you, oh, exactly, he said this and that, because I wrote it down, you know what I'm saying? No, I didn't write it down. I mean, this is what I told him. I said, you keep doing this, coming to my job, because he didn't work there no more. He kept coming back, trying to get his job, and trying to get a job.
No, no,
So
I'm
what
telling him to
happened?
be quiet. I'm engrossed in your story, Mr. Monroy. So he kept coming back to try to get his job.
Coming back, harassing me. Okay,
So far, I haven't heard him harass you. All I heard was a lot of yada, yada, yada. So unless you
well,
could
that's
be more
what harassment
specific.
means now. And so then that's what happened. So I took him out. He came by one day. And I took him
Came by
outside.
one day.
I told him I want to talk to you outside because I already had notified him about bringing this kind of problems in my job. You know what I mean? Telling my boss that I smoke whatever and whatever, you know, just causing problems.
Just a second. Do you?
Of course not. I would never.
Never, never.
You know?
Never, never, Mr. Monroy.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
How old are you?
21.
Better change your ways, sir, if you want to live to be 22.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mayolo Guerrero wants his co-worker, David Monroy, to pay the medical bills for breaking his jaw.
So you asked him to step outside with you, right?
Well, basically, yes. I told him to go outside.
And what happened when you got outside?
Well, we just were outside and
No,
we were
over
walking.
here.
Check it out. Okay. We're outside, okay? We walk outside. He's real paranoid because he already knew I was going to, you know what I mean? So he turns around and I just, you know, did what I do. How else do you want me to put it, Judge? You know what I'm saying?
So you hit him. Right?
That's what this is all about.
So you hit him.
Uh-huh.
Boy, I wish I could send him for a blood test right now. Mr. Monroy.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you were arrested, sir?
Never been arrested, convicted.
I didn't ask you whether you've ever been convicted, sir.
I told you I've never been arrested or convicted.
Never?
Well, as an adult, no.
Can I see your medical bills, please?
This here was the before one, and this is the after the one that my medical insurance didn't cover.
Mr. Guerrero, your medical bills that were uncovered amounted to $2,433. Is that
Yes,
right,
sir.
sir?
Mm-hmm.
They were uncovered by insurance.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, Mr. Guerrero, you sued for the exact amount of your unreimbursed medical bills. Could you tell me why, sir, you didn't sue him for the pain and suffering? I assume you had some pain and suffering. I'm just curious.
I did. I mean, to this point, I just wanted to get the medical bills out of the way. That was my main priority. I didn't really care if I got anything from my pain and suffering or lost wages or anything like that. I just wanted
Are you
to
his
get that.
sister?
Mm-hmm.
Yes is an appropriate answer. Step up here a second. What's your name?
Yolanda Guerrero.
How old are you?
18.
How long did you go out with Mr. Charmer over here?
Not one day.
Not one day? You didn't go out with him at all?
Well, I did, but it was a mistake.
I asked you, how long did you go out with him?
Just for about a month and a half.
Did he ever use drugs in your presence?
Yes, he did.
What kind?
It's not even relevant, though, man.
What kind?
Marijuana.
Anything else?
Not that I remember.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
All right. You say he assaulted you, I don't know what his defense
All of a
is to
sudden,
this.
I was
I don't
high
know.
when I did it too, huh?
I don't know. I don't know what his defense is. I couldn't figure out from the answer what his defense
There
was.
wasn't no defense, you know what I'm saying? He came to my job where I work at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we fought, so, you know, what can he expect if you're coming to, you know what I'm saying? Coming to somebody telling him, oh, you're my sister, da-da-da. You know?
How old are you?
21.
Oy.
Can I
Better
say
change your
something?
ways, sir, if you want to live to be 22. Listen, it's not a very difficult case. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff for the amount requested, which represents his unreimbursed medical bills, $2,433. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Case number 282 on the calendar in the matter of Gatewood versus Boughton. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat,
All right.
gentlemen.
Let's see if I can unravel this rather complicated complaint. Mr. Gatewood, you and Miss Boughton were friends in 1995.
Yes.
And in that year, you sold her a used car.
Yes.
How much did you sell her the car for?
A sum of $2,000.
And she was supposed to repay you at the rate of $250 a month. Is that right? Yes.
Yes.
And you say in your answer that he was pretty reasonable about late payments and that sort of thing.
Right.
But you were paying off this car. What kind of car was it?
A VW Bug.
They're cute.
Yeah.
Right? So there came a time sometime a couple of years later when she hadn't been making her payments and you were worried about the insurance on the car. You decided to repossess the car.
Yes.
So in the still of the night, without telling her, right?
Oh, no. There was a
Did you tell her you were going to repossess the car?
letter sent to her, yes.
That said what? If you don't, I will?
What?
If you don't pay, I will repossess the car. Right?
Right.
But then you didn't tell her when you were going to repossess the car. Day and date.
It gave her till the end of the month, which was...
Mr. Gatewood, do you understand what I'm saying to you? You didn't tell her when you were going to
The
repossess the
exact
car.
day and time, and no.
Right.
No.
So, without telling her when you were going to repossess the car, this former friend of yours, you went to where the car was parked.
Yes.
And took it.
Yes.
And the registration was still in your name.
Yes.
Because that was your arrangement.
Yes.
She did what any normal person would do, getting up in the morning. You looked outside and you saw...
No car.
So you...
Called the cops.
You got arrested.
Pulled over, yeah.
For stealing your own car.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What people do to each other and to themselves. This is really so fascinating. I was fascinated when I read this complaint. Now, ultimately, it was okay because you spoke to the police and were able to convince them that it was your car.
Yes.
How long were you in custody?
About an hour and a half.
Was it scary?
Yeah, to say the least.
You ever been arrested before?
Never. I've never even darned bracelets.
What? Did they actually put you in handcuffs?
Yeah, I was on my knees and they put me in cuffs.
Tell me about that. I'm really curious to know.
I was driving home and I noticed the cop following me, and I eventually made it home and I pulled into my parking lot, or my carport, and I get the lights and I'm thinking, okay, what's this all about? And I get out of the car and I get this spotlight in my eyes and he says, throw the keys to the ground. I'm like, okay. He's like, turn around, put your hands on your head. I'm like, okay. And then he says, walk backwards towards my voice. And I did. He says, stop. And I feel something on my back and he says, get on your knees. I'm like, execution time. And they cuffed me. And I'm like, am I under arrest? And he says, no, you're in custody. I said, can you please explain the difference to me?
Did you say that to him?
Yes.
Did he have a sense of humor?
Not at this time. And so he says, can you explain to me instead why you're driving a stolen vehicle? I said, this isn't a stolen vehicle, this is my vehicle. And he says, what's your name? And I said, Guy Gatewood. He says, well, you got that part right. Then, explain this to me.
Had you known at that time that she had called the police?
No, this is just like completely...
So what you were suing her for is for having called the police and having had you arrested falsely.
Mm-hmm.
So you want some damages for that. And then you want some money for the car.
There's still a balance due on it.
Okay. Well, first let's take care of the car business, and
Sure.
then we'll get into this arrest business, because I have to figure out exactly how much, if anything, you're owed on the car, because she says that she paid money towards the car and she is countersuing you for the car, and then you're countersuing him, Miss Barton, for some nonsense, which I categorize as nonsense, which is the emotional distress of not having your car, something like that, which I'm not even going to think about because that's a lot of baloney. Now, how much did you pay for this VW Bug, sir?
How much did I pay for it?
That was my question. I'm sure you have an answer.
Initially, when I got the car, I paid $500. I then fixed the car up, put a brand new motor in it, fixed the body, did the interior as well. It came to about $2,400.
Let us assume, for the moment, you paid $2,300 for the car.
Okay.
All right? How many payments did you make on this car?
I had about 2 more payments left. I owed him about $600 more on the car.
How many payments did she make on the car?
She made 4 payments on the car. She only owed $425 on the car.
So she paid you in total how much?
$1,575.
Okay. And how much money did you sell the car for, sir? Because your complaint says that you sold the car after you repossessed it.
I've resold the Volkswagen for $200.
Why?
For the condition that it was in when I got it back, it wasn't worth much more than that.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
The idea that he came at night and took it was a total passive-aggressive, miserable move that is typical of Guy Gatewood.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Guy Gatewood says he was embarrassed when he was handcuffed and led away after he repossessed Nicole Boughton's car. Now he wants payment for the car and the emotional distress.
Who did you sell it to?
A neighbor downstairs for his wife so she could go back and forth to work.
Let me see the bill of sale. What year Volkswagen was this?
It's a 71 Super Beetle.
Mr. Gatewood.
Yes.
You were driving this car when the police pulled you over.
Yes, I was.
Where were you driving it from, sir?
I was driving it from Shooter's Bar in Huntington Beach.
What is the distance between this barn and your home?
2 miles.
And how long had you been driving the car from the time you repossessed it until the time they repossessed you?
It was stored most of the time. Maybe 2 or 3 times I took it out to keep it running. I also have another Blazer and a motorcycle that I use frequently.
Now, Mr. Gatewood, just because you do a bill of sale for $200, sir, doesn't mean that I believe that you sold this car for $200, because the car was clearly a drivable vehicle. Drivable vehicle, cute little car, almost vintage, you know, 71 VW Bug. Was a convertible or not?
No, it's not convertible.
So just because you wrote $200 here doesn't necessarily mean I believe that you were paid $200 for it in total.
I'm not the only signature on that statement.
You're talking about the buyer?
The buyer also.
Oh, well, it would certainly serve. The buyer would certainly say that he only paid $200 for the car, because that means his tax when he has to register the car is a lot less. People do that all the time. It's wrong and it's illegal, but people do it all the time when they sell cars that are used cars. They say, hey, listen, put down $200, I'll give you $800 for the car, and then I only have to pay tax on $200. You understand that, Mr. Gatewood?
I understand your point of view.
Now, what did you, after you found out that the car wasn't there, you called the police. When did you realize that he had taken the car?
About 3 days after I made the report. I didn't hear from him. I called him as soon as I called the police. I was like, your car's been stolen. I know I still owe you money on it. I'll pay you the money I owed on it, but just to let you know it's been stolen. So if you get any calls about it being found, then call me back. I didn't hear from him.
And he didn't tell you that he had taken the car?
No.
Right?
Right.
Right.
That
I was told by legal advice not to speak with her.
Just a second.
Sure.
She told you that she had reported the car stolen.
No, she didn't tell me that she
What
called
did
the
she
police.
say?
She left on the answer machine. She goes, I don't know if you have the car or not, but it's not up here. Give me a call. And that was it.
And did you call her?
No.
Well, didn't you think that she might call the police and report the car stolen?
Yes, but I didn't think they'd take a stolen police report without proof of ownership.
Well, then, that's your problem, Mr. Gatewood, so I'm dismissing that part of your complaint for having you arrested, because it seems to me she did the right thing by calling you immediately, and if you wanted to be smart, you could have had a friend or someone else call her and say, he doesn't want to speak to you personally, he has the car. When did you find out that he had possession of the car?
Like I said, it was about 3 days after. When he didn't call and tell me, make any comment about it being stolen, is when I knew that he must have taken it. I mean, because that's a part of his character that I wouldn't doubt. So a friend of mine was like, do you think he took it? And I'm like, you know, he's just miserable of enough person to have done that, but I'm not going to call him until I chill out, because I was pissed. I had no notification.
Say, listen to me, you're in court. Try angry.
Angry. I was angry. I was out of control. No, I wasn't out of control. I was just angry. I was amazed that he could have done anything so low without any notification. But like I said, it's part of the nature that I knew of him.
So what did you do? Did you call the police?
I called the police and I said, I made a report a couple days ago. This is the number. Scratch that report. He goes, well, was the car stolen or wasn't it stolen? I said, well, it was taken without notification by its registered owner, so I don't know if you'd call that stolen. But it's not stolen, it's in the owner's hands. When I got a call from the Huntington Police Department a couple months later saying, we recovered your car, I knew something definitely went wrong with the reports. I called him immediately. I'm like, Guy, I need to talk to you about your car. There's some problems. If you need my help with anything, call me, and I will totally help you straighten it out. I never heard from him.
He should have told you. He should have notified you immediately that he had repossessed the car. That's what you do when you repossess a car. You tack a notice on the door. This property has been repossessed.
I sent her a registered letter.
Did she pick it up?
She refused it.
Can I see it?
It was...
Well, that's all right. She refused, so there was no notice. If you had a receipt that she had received it, that's one thing. Why didn't you just leave a message on her machine that you had the car, sir?
Because I couldn't prove that she would acknowledge the fact that she received any information from me.
You could have done both. Right? You could have done both, you know?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You buy a used car that's 25 years old. Listen, anything that reaches 25 years old starts to go downhill. Believe me, I know. You know, every year it gets a little bit worse.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Guy Gatewood says Nicole Boughton owes him for a car and a false arrest. Nicole says Guy owes her for payments and repairs she made on the car.
In any event, Mr. Gatewood, I'm really sort of surprised that you repossessed the car anyway, since she owed you just a couple of $100s on the car.
I waited 9 months, 3 of which she lived with me, to receive any form of further payment towards it, and there was nothing coming in. I sent her a letter saying, you know...
What do you mean she lived with you? She lived with you as boyfriend and girlfriend,
No,
or she lived with you as a tenant?
She was a tenant in one of my... I had a spare bedroom. She rented it out.
And while she was living with you, she was driving this car, and and she did not make any payments.
No.
But then she moved out. But she paid you almost everything that was owed on the car.
75% of the thing, yes.
How long did you have the car?
I don't know, about a year and a half, year?
2 years, almost.
Yeah. We can talk about the repairs of this perfect car that I paid twice of what it was worth when I first bought it, and I had to immediately put in at least $1,000 on this perfect car. That the money went to his buddies at his garage who charged me so much for repairs.
Just a second. Nobody forced you to go to his garage, right?
Well, I thought they would.
Spartan, nobody forced you to go to his garage.
You're right.
And when you buy a used car that's 25 years old.
But when it's supposedly in good condition,
What everybody says.
in great condition,
Everybody says it's a cream puff. Isn't that the right word? It's a perfect car.
Anyway, he knew of these repairs, and that's why he wasn't getting some of the car payments on time. Was because I was putting so much money into fixing this cream
Listen,
puff.
he's not your partner in this tragedy.
What's that?
He's not your partner in this car tragedy. You buy a used car that's 25 years old. Listen, anything that reaches 25 years old starts to go downhill. Believe me, I know. You know, every year it gets a little bit worse, right? Cars are no different from people. So you buy a 25-year-old car, you be prepared, even if the owner of the car says it's in great shape, to pay whatever it is. If you get disgusted paying for the repairs, then you sell it. But you don't charge it off. Because a bank wouldn't understand if you went to a bank and you say, well, I had to pay repairs for the car, and I had to pay my phone bill, and I had to pay this, and I had to pay that, so I can't pay you this month. They wouldn't have tolerated it. But I have a problem, because you two clearly knew each other. You were friends. You knew each other for a long time. She lived in your house. And Mr. Gatewood, I don't understand why you treated this in nothing more than what apparently is an arm's-length transaction by going and repossessing the car, not notifying her immediately. Not notifying her immediately. Even if you send her a registered letter, that takes a couple of days to get there. Any normal person coming out of their house, not seeing their car, would call the police. Then you are at risk, sir. So you caused that problem yourself by repossessing the car without advising her that you were going to do it, or at least repossessing the car at midnight, tacking a notice on her door, I have in fact repossessed the car. If you have any problem with that, I'll see you in court. Whatever it is. But you didn't do that. So if you got arrested, that's your problem. So that part of your lawsuit is dismissed. And the only thing that I have to try to figure out is who owes who money for this car.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Now, you have any proof that you paid $2,300 for this car?
That was all in parts, receipts, stuff like that.
Well, let me see.
I did bring anything like that with me because I didn't feel it would be necessary for today.
And you say you bought it for $500?
Yes.
So let's see how much you made. So you don't have any proof of how much you put in to have it fixed for me. So let's say you put in nothing. So you bought it for $500. You got $1,575 from her, and you got another, according to you, $200 from your neighbor. 5, 7, 12. So far, you got $1,775 for a car that you paid $500 for. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, on the other hand, Miss Barton, you had the use of a car for almost 2 years.
Right.
At about $750 a year. Right?
Plus all the repairs.
That's what happens when you have a car. You do repairs on a car when you have a car. So for $750 a year, you had basic transportation.
Basic, very basic.
Did you have another car, or just this car?
It was great.
It was great. So that seems to me as if, that's nice, 12 months. That was out to what, less than $50 or $60 a month to own a car? That's not bad. You have insurance for this car?
Not anymore.
Did you have?
Did I have?
Paid up insurance all the time?
All the time, no, not all the time.
Well, that was one of the reasons you repossessed the car, right?
I don't know.
Just a second.
He had more excuses for taking the car.
Let me ask you a question. No, he's very clear in his complaint. He says he was concerned because the car's in his name, and you told him you didn't have money to keep up the insurance. So he was afraid if he got into an accident in this car, they were going to come and take away his other car and everything else that he owns. Right? So you didn't have insurance on the car.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. Oy. Sounds to me as if you made out okay, Mr. Gatewood, in the sale of the car. Sounds to me, Miss Barton, that you brought on some of this on your own, had no insurance on a car. You certainly weren't going to get stuck if the car was in an accident, or if you hurt somebody, he was going to get stuck. He's the registered owner, and you have nothing because you couldn't even make the car payment, so they couldn't go after you. So it sounds to me as if you two folks absolutely deserve each other. Your complaint is dismissed, your countersuit is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Judge, number 230 on the calendar in the matter of Garrett versus Bradford Ullman. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Miss Garrett, this is your granddaughter.
That's correct.
Your name is Bradford?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're her boyfriend?
Yes.
You live together?
Yes.
And you have 2 children?
3.
3 children, but they're not your children?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Garrett, you're suing your granddaughter and her boyfriend.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you rented them a house.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did.
And you say that A, they did not pay rent.
That's correct.
B, they vandalized your house.
Yes.
And they took property that was yours from the house.
Absolutely.
When did you and why did you rent this house to them?
Well, Misty lived there prior for a year, approximately, prior to a year of her mom moving out.
So originally her mother lived there, and she lived with her mother and her 3 children.
Exactly. And then the mother moved out, and Misty...
That's your daughter?
My daughter. Misty didn't have any place to go, nor the money to go anyplace else. So I told her I would rent her my house, and I did.
What was the monthly rental?
$466. That covers my mortgage payment.
Now, you admit, Miss Ullman, that you did not make one rental payment.
Yes.
And that's after you say you were served with an eviction notice from your grandmother.
Yes.
So you admit that you owe her that money.
Yes, I do.
There came a time when you decided to evict her.
Yes.
Can you tell me why?
Well, for one thing, they were not paying the rent, which I needed. I'm on a fixed income. I needed the rent money to cover my own expenses. I have enough to take care of my own personal needs, but not that of Misty, her boyfriends, or her children. So I needed the money for that. And the eviction started over the payment. There was also other problems involved during the eviction.
Like what?
Over the children.
What?
I heard verbal abuse from Mr. Bradford with the 3 children. I was very much concerned about that. They were going to ship the young boy off to Alaska to a father that he hardly knew, to people that did not know him. And I was very upset.
Her oldest child they were going to send to the father's house?
In Alaska, because he was causing problems. He does have a behavior problem. But to me, you don't have throwaway children.
How close do you live to them?
I lived about 60 feet in a studio apartment that's on the same property as my big house.
Before you served them with an eviction notice, did you tell them that you wanted them to move out?
Yes, I did.
Are you sure?
I sent them a letter asking them to come to me to work out a payment plan for the rents owed.
How many months' rent did they owe you by the time they left?
She stayed there. They stayed there. May I have a drink of water?
Please.
They stayed there for 3 months. They paid me a total of $580.
Do you have proof of payment of more than $580?
No, I do not. I used money orders, and I gave the money orders to my grandma, and then she went to the bank and made the payment.
She says that you gave her a total of $580 during the 3 months that you were living there.
We were there for 3 months, and I did pay the first 2 months. The 3rd month I did not pay.
She says that one of the reasons she started eviction proceedings is because you weren't paying her.
No, that is not true. And
well, then do you have the receipts to show me 2 payments of $466
no,
each?
Your Honor, I do not.
And are you saying that the total they paid you was $580?
That's correct.
And she's also claiming that we owe, or that the rent was $466, which the mortgage payment and the insurance together is, but I was only responsible for $290 of it.
Why?
I didn't pay the insurance. That was not our agreement.
Just a second. Maybe when your mother was living there, it was split differently. But what was your mortgage payment?
$466.02, in fact.
You have proof of that?
Yes,
Cheryl?
I do.
Can I see it, please?
Your Honor. Actually, the payments were $290 as they were when the mother lived there.
No. No. Who said so?
That's exactly how much they were.
She says that you had an understanding that you were going to pay whatever amount it was to cover her mortgage payment.
She's claiming $466, I believe, but that's not true, Your Honor.
Well, I want to see whether it's $466. She's going to show me.
The mortgage may, with the insurance may indeed be that, but that doesn't mean that was the agreement to pay that.
Well, why should why should she subsidize you? Where can you find a house for $466?
Well, I don't think that's the issue.
No, just a second. Where can you find a house for $466?
You can find them in Fresno. They're available. The people can scoff if they want. You're in Los Angeles. In Fresno, it's not uncommon to find a house for $450. It may not be palatial, but it'll be something that you can live in. And
Well, was this a nice house?
Yeah, it is. It is a nice house. It's an older house, 70 or 80 years old, and it's very large.
Well, $466 doesn't seem to me outrageous. Sir, do you work?
Ma'am.
Do you work?
Do I work?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
Well, I just got a job as a production supervisor with a poultry company.
What were you doing during the time that you were living with Miss Oman in her grandmother's house?
Well, you mean, was I seeking employment or was I working?
No, were you working?
No, at that time I wasn't working. I was seeking employment.
Well, who was supporting you?
I received unemployment.
How much?
$400 a month.
And were you working?
No.
Why not?
Well, I have a few things that I'm a recovering addict, alcoholic, and during that time I've been seeking therapy and help for myself and for my kids, and that...
Well, you certainly weren't living on $400 a month that he was getting from unemployment insurance, so you must have been subsidized by the state in some way. Is that right?
Yes.
So you were receiving welfare?
Yes.
How much?
A total of $620 a month.
So you were receiving $620 and he was getting $400. That's $1,000 some odd a month, more than enough to pay Grandma's mortgage.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
While she was involved with drugs, involved with alcohol, she had 2 more illegitimate children with 2 other men. Now, Mr. Bradford, you can understand why her grandmother was slightly frustrated.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lavelle Garrett claims her granddaughter, Misty Oman, and Misty's boyfriend, Tom Bradford, did not pay rent, stole, and damaged her property. Misty says her grandmother's trying to control her.
Now, let's get beyond the mortgage. Let's get to this vandalism. You have photographs of the house?
Yes, I do. It's under the green tag there that you have. I also have the color ones for you if you would like. Those are copies.
I'd like to see the originals, please. One of the things, Miss Garrett, that I'm sort of surprised at, well, I'm not faulting you because, you know, you came prepared for this lawsuit, but that you took such care to prepare this lawsuit when your granddaughter was involved. So my sense is that there's something more to this than just this property damage. Did you have a fight with her about sending this young boy to Alaska?
Yes, I did.
When did you have that fight with her?
It was after the eviction.
No, Your Honor, that's not true. It was prior to the eviction.
Okay, I couldn't be mistaken about that, Your Honor. I'm not sure. I mean, there's been an ongoing argument about this child for a long time because of my concern for his welfare.
Did you ever ask your granddaughter if your grandson could come and live with you?
He did live with me for 1 year. He was in my custody for 1 year. At this time, as we speak, he is living with my daughter.
With his maternal grandmother?
Right.
Is that through the state?
No.
By agreement?
By agreement between Mr. Bradford and Miss Oman.
Well, what does he have to do with it?
You tell me.
Nothing is the answer. I'd like you to look at some of these photographs and tell me whether any of this looks familiar to you.
I'd also like to add, Your Honor, this is a very sad day for me to have my granddaughter in court. I have loved this young lady for 24 years. And this is very, very sad for me to have her in court. But I've had it. I'm up to here with her, the men she's been dragging in and out of her children's life.
Your Honor, I'm trying to be polite and be reserved and be respectful of the court. And, you know, I'm just going to take a chance here and speak out. You know, I'm a good human being. I'm not going to be ashamed of the fact that I'm in between jobs. Many people in America are in between jobs right now. And it's nothing to laugh at or to be ashamed of. And I met Misty some months ago, in March, in fact, and we developed a relationship. And we had a good relationship. In fact, her suitor, Bob Magretta, hired me to do a number of odd jobs for him while I was in between jobs. And in fact, after the eviction, offered me work and offered us a place to stay in one of his apartments that he rents. And we have a letter here stating that, saying you can come and live in one of my apartments and you can continue to have your job. We're not bad people. And I love her children and I love her. And we're planning to have a future together.
Mr. Bradford, let me stop you, sir. I don't doubt certain of the things that you said to me. You don't fall in love with children after 6 months. As
I didn't say I fell in love.
Just a second. You said
I love the children.
You say you love her and you love her children. You don't
Yes, I
love
do.
her children. You don't love her children. You may tolerate 2 of them, certainly. You didn't love the third one. The third one was being sent away thousands of miles away from his siblings because clearly he was not thriving in your home, and he was probably, in all probability, you don't send the child away unless they are particularly troublesome.
He was going for a 4-week vacation, Your Honor, to see the father who she summons down to help with the child within the last few years. If you ask her, she'll tell you.
Just a second. That's not what it says in the answer.
When the doctors at the psychiatric facility recommended that we allow him to try to work out some of the unresolved issues by visiting with his dad.
What do you, Mr. Bradford, what do you think the unresolved issues are, sir?
Well, I'm not a professional in the psychiatric field, but
So you're not a professional, and you've been in this family for 6 months. You've been involved with these 3 children for 6 months. You have 3 children. Were you married once or more than once?
Once.
Once. And the father is, the person who lives in Alaska is the father of all 3 of your children?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. How many children is he the father of?
1.
1. And the other 2 children, do they have the same father?
No, Your Honor.
So I want you to listen to me very carefully, Mr. Bradford. What she said is she's had it up to here with the men that her granddaughter has brought into the lives of her grandchildren. And right now, very simple. I mean, just on its face, Misty acknowledges she had a substance abuse problem. Hopefully she's in recovery. But the bottom line is she has 3 children by 3 different men, only one of whom she was married to. She has a little boy who was clearly suffering as a result of A, his mother's addiction. She was, in all probability, neglectful of the children while she was involved with drugs. That's clear. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. While she was involved with drugs, involved with alcohol, she had 2 more illegitimate children with 2 other men. Now, Mr. Bradford, you can understand why her grandmother, who has probably been around for all of these tragedies that have gone on for her grandchildren, is slightly frustrated.
Well,
so don't tell me, sir, that we're good people and I love all these 3 children, because this lady has heard that before.
Well,
you have to understand the frustration.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Am I guessing at the fact that each of her 3 children have 3 different fathers?
No,
not
you're
guessing
not.
at that. And I'm not guessing at the fact, sir, that you don't know one thing that went on in this family from your own personal knowledge for the last 10 years.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Airline technician Lavelle Garrett says her granddaughter, Misty Oman, and her boyfriend, Tom Bradford, owe her for back rent and damaged property. Misty says it all started when she sent her son away.
Now, all I want you to do is look at those photographs and you tell me whether any of that damage to her property looks familiar. Just look at it.
There are some things that I am responsible for, but
like
some
what?
of this, for example, the broken portable closet, no. This screen.
What are you responsible for?
This screen right here, the cat potty.
The what?
the feces, the cat feces that they left in my bathroom floor, plus cat litter in my kitchen with cigarette butts and cat feces in it. The pictures are all here.
You're not suing for that much money. Right now, you're almost to the amount of money from back
I mean,
rent.
this coffee cup right here that's broken on the porch, somebody threw that at the window. And
Keep going.
Your Honor?
What?
The doorbell was removed because he took it down. It didn't work. He took it down. He was going
To
repair
repair
it.
it.
Grandma said that she didn't have the money to repair it, so we just left it on top of the refrigerator. This stuff is all just a mess from moving.
Just a minute. What do you mean it's a mess from moving? Why did you leave a mess when you moved?
We
Who was
were
supposed to
moving, so we had
Who was
stuff
supposed to clean it
scattered.
up?
No,
Missy, who was supposed to clean it up? Did you come back and clean up your mess after
Yes,
you moved?
this stuff we took with us.
I'm talking about the mess after you left. Cat litter, cigarette butts in the cat litter, dirt all over the place. Did you come back and clean that up?
No, my grandmother did not want me to come back to clean it up.
Did you? You mean you called your grandmother and said, I left the house a mess, I want to come back just for a day, just to
No,
clean
my
up the mess?
grandmother made it very clear, do not come back.
The sheriffs escorted her out, and when she forgot one or two items inside the place in her, hasty exodus from the residence, they wouldn't even let her back in to get those items, okay? And so, when a sheriff's there and the kids are all on the porch crying, and she's trying to get her stuff and get out. I'm not making her out to be an angel, but she's a good person, Your Honor, and I love her. And you see her sister over there crying, and I'll tell you why she's crying. Because you're making her out to, you're guessing, and I respect your position.
I'm not guessing, Mr.
No, that's
Bradford.
exactly what you're
Listen,
doing. That's exactly
I'm not
what you're
guessing,
doing.
Sarah. Am I guessing at the fact that Miss Oman has 3 children? Am I guessing?
That part you're not.
Am I guessing at the fact that each of her 3 children have 3 different fathers?
No,
not
you're
guessing
not.
at that. I'm not guessing at the fact that she was addicted to drugs and alcohol. I'm not guessing at that.
No, ma'am, you're not.
I'm not guessing at the fact that you've been involved in this family for less than a year. I'm not guessing at that.
No, you're not.
And I'm not guessing at the fact, sir, that you don't know one thing that went on in this family from your own personal knowledge for the last 10 years.
Well,
you don't
sure
know
I
that.
do.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Miss Garrett, listen to me. Don't rent them an apartment anymore. I don't know if he's going to be long-term or short-term, whether he's going to be as long-term as the other 3 guys that were in your granddaughter's life. I haven't a clue. You've sued for very little money, slightly over $1,100. They owe you at least $800 in rent. That's your lawsuit. $1,184 is what your lawsuit was for. There is, based upon what I've seen, the mess alone in that apartment, as far as I'm concerned, takes at least $300 to clean up that kind of disaster. So, you tell me that this was a painful thing for you to do.
Yes, it is.
I not only think it's painful, I'm not so sure that I would have done it. I would have just said, from now on, I'm not going to bail my granddaughter out, and I would have eaten the $1,100. You chose not to do that, and I can't fault you for not saying, I'm going to chalk it up and write, from now on, they're on their own. It's sad that you brought her to court. She owes you the money. She owes you the money for rent, and she owes you the money for cleaning up the mess that she and her boyfriend left in your house. Judgment is for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,100. That's it.
The calendar in the matter of Sievertson versus Lu.
Всем привет, друзья! Подписывайтесь на канал, ставьте лайки, делитесь этим видео с друзьями. В этой части ролика я рано пришел в магазин и буду показывать вам весь процесс того, как я открываю магазин, как это происходит, как это выглядит. Сначала вообще внутри магазина так. Я уже вынес зонтик и стол. Вот сначала вот так, как-то пустовато. И сейчас будем все раскладывать. Hazır endi mallara gelmek ketdi bu. Hazır atvarmaysiz uni. Ha? Bu yerda flash bor edi, ichib qo'ydingizmi? Esdan chiqib qoldi.
Ona qizga ham pul to'lab tushib ketmading-da.
Nima?
Ona qizga ham pul to'lab tushib ketmading?
Qaysi pul? Ashnaqa qilmayapman. Явный подкат bo'lib ketadi. Kattasi kerak bu mashina. O'zidan o'zi bu narsalardan men uni polnisini sinolmayapman ishlarsin. Maqancha 50 bo'lsa 40 so'm. Uni ham uncha sezmaydi lekin. Sizdan kelib bo'lgandan keyin sezadi. İkinci marta kelib nima oldi? Ha? Peshani.
Zontir нормально qo'y. Qancha?
Noningizga tegmayapsiz-da.
Kel. Telefon olar. Sen sor.
Bunu alışınız gerek. Bitti fiyat çıkıyor ya.
Sen o yerde var etti.
Kança ekmek.
500 so'mlik falan var diyor.
Kayıtta.
O yerde kosmetika satıyor.
Kayıtta kosmetika satıyor.
O yerde.
O yerde dediğiniz ne kadar düşünüyorsun?
Şu bana şöyle attı. Ben seni götürürüm. Ha atsın mı gezelim?
Açmazsın mı abi?
Ben de açayım.
В общем, друзья, вот так вот мы уже открыли магазин. Вот как он выглядит. Вот сам магазин. Вот у нас товары, соки всякие. Потихоньку уменьшаются. Вот кондиционер. Вот. Siz o'zbekcha gapiravering, bu yerda farqi yo'q, hamma gapirishcha. Вот у нас чипсы Lays. Надеюсь, их можно рекламировать. Также тут есть у нас сыр. Я думаю, их тоже можно сюда поставить. Поправляем полочки. Новый вкус, кстати, стейк рибай. Говорят, попробуй. На самом деле тоже очень интересно, да, хочется попробовать. Я думаю, возможно, мы даже сегодня попробуем, и, возможно, даже сделаем на него обзор. Так. Kurup saklanmayın. Вырезать волос. Таких собираем где? Да? Таких собираем. А что это? Вот. Кофені aytganmiz kecha, olib keldimi? Qizilni. Aytib qo'yaman hozir. Tangangiz bo'ldimi? İyi. Pul beraman, tangani qilib kelay. Вот такие товары у нас здесь находятся. Джалабатсу еще сюда закидываем иногда. Вот. Yangi keldimi? Nima deysiz, Navot? Mayli, Navot. Kattasidanmi? Dur, Navot. Hasanlar? Bular qanchadan beryapti? Man qilib aytaman-da, короче, Hasanboy aka paloncha beradi ekan deyman. Ладно, друзья, подписывайтесь на канал, ставьте лайки, делитесь этим видео с друзьями. Вот. И please subscribe my channel and repost this video. Всем bye, guys.